It's the most incredible feeling to be here. This is live.
Live.
Wild Earth takes you on daily intimate experiences in nature live.
This is a very, very different adventure, charged with emotion.
Join expert guides as they search for Africa's most iconic animals.
How awesome is this? She's coming right past our vehicle. Take a closer look here.
Oh, careful. Oh, no.
Ask your host questions and have them answered in real time. Join us live every day on Wild Earth. This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, and a warm welcome in the Masai Mara of Kenya. We have elephants grazing. My name is Tim. Welcome aboard to your very own safari live from the African wilderness. Good morning, everyone, and a warm welcome to the Masai Mara of Kenya. We have elephants that are grazing here peacefully. My name is Tim, and behind camera we have Big James. Very nice morning. The sun is just rising. We have elephants that are slowly grazing. It's cool, a very wonderful and cool climate. It's about 16 degrees Celsius, about 61 degrees Fahrenheit. So if you have questions, please send us on #WildEarth and the YouTube comment section at FC Kids Question at wildearth.tv. So this elephant family is not as big. Seems like they spend the night here. Look at how they're grazing slowly because it's a little bit cool for the calf. The calf there is actually standing still. Could be getting some warmth from the bushes there. Sometimes when it's cold, the mother and the cousins and the entire family might circle the young ones and keep them warm. So the calf need their mothers for protection, for warmth, and for everything before they carry on and become independent. Over in the horizon, I can see a balloon. So this time of the year, we have tourists who enjoy the great migration, and sometimes they come across such elephant herds. How beautiful. There's a big bull there. Look at the balloon there. How wonderful. Gliding over the Masai Mara and watching over elephants, wildebeest, and many more animals that they come across. These bulls will not mix up with the herds each and every time, but they only associate themselves with these herds only about once, twice, thrice, and all if they encounter them, and maybe sometimes when the females are in estrus, they get to mate with them. That's the reason young bulls will split up or get separated from the herds to avoid inbreeding. When such bulls are around, there is much respect. Look at how slowly. Very well, thank you so much. We have been blessed to wake up with elephants in the morning grazing. I think that's a young cow, not as big compared to the one to the right. Could be she might be the mother to the calf, maybe her second time to give birth. So in time before it warms up, these elephants are enjoying the grass because there's moisture, which has water. So at least they'll not make a trip to the water right now. So later on in the day, you'll see other elephants coming into these grazing plains, and they mix up with these herds and carry on to the marshes. So these elephants make round trips every day from grazing grounds to where they go drink water. And this experience carries along to the calves, who in time, when they become fully independent, they become matriarchs or bulls, they'll use the same routes to carry on in their activity and also in their daily life. Such a big calf there. Can hear lots of birds now. It's a good wake up time here in Africa. Seems like the calf is still cold. Look at how he's walking there, keeping a slow pace with the mom. As you can see, they're not even flapping their ears, meaning that they are all cool and it's a very good temperature for them to carry on grazing. But when the temperatures rise in the day, they'll all be flapping their ears to cool off. And they'll take off to a mud wall where they'll spray mud on their bodies, and sometimes you can see them rolling over in the mud. A nice behavior when you watch elephants do that. This is so beautiful. The bull is just by himself. I've seen this bull walking around with 4 other bulls. So he's the big bull, and there's other smaller bulls we call them the askaris. Askari is Swahili for soldier. So sometimes you see these bulls associating themselves with younger bulls who learn from him the daily occurrence, the daily activity that they carry on. Survival and mating etiquette comes from this bull, passing that to the younger bulls. Then, sorry, I didn't get your question very well, but matriarchs have on command the herds, but sometimes when this if a matriarch passes on, for example, the second in command, who sometimes can be the sister or the cousin, will be the next matriarch. And sometimes you find that if a matriarch from a big herd dies or passes on, then this herd sometimes split up. And that's how we find breakups and splitting of elephant herds. So there'll be a second command, who is the second matriarch or the sister, who will carry on and lead the herd. So as they walk, there's communication going through. We can't really tell from the distance that we are. It's so peaceful and enjoying this scenery. So as you watch these elephants grazing slowly, let's take you over to another safari vehicle.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome aboard. My name is TRISHALA, and I've got a on camera with me this morning in Djuma. It is wet and cold. It's about 16 degrees Celsius, 61 degrees Fahrenheit. And I am trying to follow up on the lions. But look, I found some baboon's tail flowers just on the ground there. I'll move my head away. That's really nice. It's the first one I've seen flowering around. I've seen them being sprouted up all over the place, and lots of green but not any flowers. So this is a wonderful, wonderful find. Excuse my cap there. But we have to find the lions. So there is an Avoca male that is quite far, well, not quite far, but further away from here than the pride does. It looks like they went in separate directions. The Avoca male is down in Philemon's Dip and the pride went north. So we're going to try and follow up on the pride. Which means we have to go through this same block that Kalamba took us through yesterday. There we go. Thought I was stuck there for a second. But given how rainy it's been, it rained the whole night. We have to be a little careful when we're off-roading. In fact, a lot careful. Because we don't want to get stuck, do we? All right. I think they're going to be moving up to the fire break, and that's where I'm going to approach very soon. So I'll call you back when we have them.
Fingers crossed for Trishala to be successful on her mission. Now back to our elephants here. They're grazing slowly and peacefully. Look at them. How they're just amazing creatures. Now, depending on weather and the time of the year, elephants are not really territorial. However, each family elephants are not territorial. However, each family or clan has a specific home range, and this may overlap sometimes. They can walk vast distances in search of nutritional forage and water, and also to find salt licks. This will depend on the home range and according to the time of year, habitat or climate. So during the dry season, you'll find elephants moving from one home range to another. And this is typically because of finding a good place for water, good place for forage, and also salt lick. Because they also need minerals for a healthy life. And these matriarchs are very, very intelligent. And because of them growing from when they were young, passing through that area from being led by their matriarchs, they understand and know these roads very well. So if this area dries off, they will walk to another area. And sometimes you see other herds mixing up on this movement when they walk from one home range to another. Sometimes they go through a hard life. You see them walking out of the conservation areas. And sometimes, because it's dry, you find them going into farmlands. And that's when human-wildlife conflicts comes in. But we have corridors that are really safe for these elephants to walk from their home range to other home ranges. We've seen an increase of elephant population, and that is good news, because previously these pachyderms were super endangered. We had seen a decline, people getting so sad about that, but we are happy now that the number is rising, and so our generation and generation to come will get to see these pachyderms. Looks like they've changed direction. The matriarch has demanded change of direction, maybe walk towards the marshes. It's so interesting as you watch them grazing, and then all of a sudden they change course and take a different route. So that tells you how the communication just went through. She's the one that commands what to do in their daily life. So sometimes she says, stop, let's rest, let's go for water, it's time to go for minerals, and time to graze. As we watch these elephants carry on and the balloon flying over the plains of the Mara, let's take you over to another safari vehicle.
Good morning from a wet and blustery low veld of South Africa. We are standing here with Rus Gwenzii, and all around us the chorus of lions is yelling their heads off. Not too close around us, otherwise we'd probably not be so relaxedly standing where we are. My name is James Henry. On camera today is BK, no longer malingering, Malinga the biceps. Impressive set of biceps, especially when he's holding the camera like he is. Anyway, we're going to just search around today, see what we can find. We might try and track that lion pride, depending on how far they are. When Trish has gone off to the east, I'm sure she'll try and see if she can find them in the vehicle first. But otherwise, we'll just see what else there is. We're looking at Rus Gwenzii. Now, this particular genus of tree is very common in South Africa, but this species is the most common one that we get over here. And what is distinctive about them is the trifoliate leaf. So when we talk about a trifoliate leaf, we mean that it has three leaflets on one leaf. So those three leaflets make up one leaf on the trifoliate leaf of Rus Gwenzii. Now, the reason I stopped at this tree is not necessarily because I find Rus Gwenzii so utterly astonishing, and I'm convinced that you will find the same thing on a Sunday morning. Rather, it is that I think, or I know, that on Rus Gwenzii lives a remarkable beetle known as the flea beetle, the larva of which was used to make poison on arrows many years back for those who needed to hunt animals out here, and the adult of which has these astonishingly powerful femur muscles that allow it to jump and get away from predators, escape predators. But I think that it's a little early in the season, so I haven't seen any flea beetles at the moment. They're called flea beetles, of course, not because they live in the fur of animals, but because they're able to jump like a flea is able to jump. Right, I think we'll carry on. We have Solly up front. He is running security detail for us today. We've got William behind. He's running some tracking detail for us today. So the team is prepped and excited to be out on foot again. It's been a little bit of a while. We've had some trouble with a pack. Malingerer. Lophius, are there cobras that live here? Yes, we do get cobras here. We get the Mozambican spitting cobra. We get the snouted cobra. What other cobras do we get here? In this particular area, I think that's probably about it, really. There are lots of other cobras in the country, like the forest cobra, the Cape cobra, which you see at Tswalu sometimes. They take on a rather gorgeous mustard colour and raid those nests of the sociable weavers. We get black cobras. We get something called a ringkulse, which is a type of cobra, type of a cobra. Yeah, so we get lots of cobras here. And in fact, in this particular area, the most common snake, or one of the most common snakes that you find inside any building, is the Mozambican spitting cobra. So you need to be a little bit careful of him. We're going to head on through here to the little waterhole.
Back here with the elephants and the sunrise, look at how beautiful that is. Surely they'll start warming up and the calf will be at least much better, because it looks like the calf is so cold. Look at the beautiful colors. Look at the sun sinking into the clouds. The birds chirping. And slowly the elephant plucking the glass, which is so wonderful to see. What a wonderful sound. Lovely here. I like the way the crepuscular rays keep on reflecting on the ground there. So beautiful. And as the temperatures change during the day, there will be lots of activity. You see, even the movement of how animals are walking will change. You'll have lots of activity in the marshes, where it's a heaven of activity during the day. I just like the sound of how they're plucking the grass. How beautiful is this? You see the elephants, you see how the trees have been trained by the giraffes, the browsing line. You see almost like an art in this savannah. So before it warms up, I'll carry on to find more game. Let's see if there's cat activity. We had some lions yesterday on the prowl. Let's see where the herds have gone to. So, as I carry on to find some more game, let's take you over to another safari vehicle. Jumbo, everyone. A very lovely good morning and welcome to my side of the world. I am here at the marsh and I was getting very desperate, but luckily luck was, up front and on my way, and I found these two lions. As I can say now lions, because I can confirm the guy to the right is a male. The one to the left, I cannot, but so I will go with lions. My name is Isaac, and on camera I have Bungei. We are here at the marsh, ready to entertain you with what we can find. And our first animal of the day is these two lions, as I've said. I believe they're part of the River Pride, because this is their territory. Around this area is where the 4 cubs were discovered about 4 weeks ago, and that's exactly that area where they're lying. I am hoping maybe the rest are there, but who am I to say anything? It is still quite chilly. Maybe they're curled up or cuddling inside those bushes. But nature always has got a surprise. You never know what lies inside there. Remember to talk to us on #WildEarth, and also you can send in your kids' question at Wild Earth TV. The weather in the Masai Mara is so beautiful. It's cool, around 16 degrees Celsius, and it's super, just perfect, to be out here. It's overcast. Looks like it's going to be a very sunny day. There's lots of dew on the grass, and so I would say those lions maybe don't want to leave the spot they're in, because maybe they have dried the dew and they don't want to walk too much and get their paws and legs wet. But I'm hoping they're going to get up and start maybe looking for something. The one to the right looks like he hasn't eaten, and maybe he might get up and go hunting. This River Pride, we haven't really concluded how many there are, because there is 4 young males with 1 lioness, and then there's 3 lionesses with 4 young ones. So we still have to see all of them together to really conclude how many there are. I think I'm gonna move a little bit to give them time to think if they want to wake up. And while I do that, another safari vehicle awaits you somewhere in a different location.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to And Beyond Ngala. So on your screen, you have a hyena walking away. Of course, safer option, as one of the Birmingham youngsters started to actually stalk it. So I think now the hyena has realized, I'm not going to win this battle. So it's actually gone and stood still now, watching the lion, making sure it's not coming after him, and then walking further and further away into the distance. So this morning you are with me, ROAN. Morning, and Odie behind the camera, and then the Birmingham Pride right in front of us. You can see the white male almost in the road now. Is gonna probably go join his sister there, see what she's up to. The majority of these lions actually, there's an entire clan of hyenas. Now you can hear them giggling, working up some courage. What a cool sound. And they're just coming to check whether there's any carcass, or is this going to be fun? See how they drop their heads down low, like almost trying to pick up courage. You go first. No, you go first. How awesome. Those are funny animals. So there's 4 of them, and there are 10 lions here. So they don't stand a chance, but, why not push your luck? Early morning fun. See, the one at the back is the youngster. Still a young hyena also coming. The ones in front, it's almost like they're edging each other on. It's not going forward a lot, and not very quickly, but trying to move forward nonetheless. I love how they're dipping their heads. The one in the middle is actually crawling forward. The oddest animal out here. The best thing is they giggle while they do this. Makes it even more bizarre. There are 2 more hyenas approaching, so we have a total of 5 hyenas now in the area. Actually 6. 6 hyenas versus 10 lions. So we don't know where the other 3 lions are, but some of these are now starting to come closer, especially some of the younger ones. Can now count 11 lions. I think I got the name right, Useless Dragon, commenting these hyenas look fat. Oh, I'm just going to keep quiet for a little while because there's very cool audio coming from them. I agree with that comment. They do. They almost look like they're fed. Could also be that some of them are pregnant. The front 2 look like females. Now the 2 hyenas on the left greeting each other. They're smelling each other's private parts. So we know there's an enormous clan that Denia somewhere in the east. So some of the younger lions are also starting to come closer and closer to the road to join the white male. I think they also want to be in on the fun. Of course, big enemies, hyenas and lions. And I think in a little while, if the hyenas start seeing all the lions coming, they'll just back off. They wouldn't pick up a fight with such a big pride. Taryn asking what does it mean if hyena has its tail up? Taryn, with majority of animals here, if they raise their tails like that, it's either a sign of aggression or fear. So I think here it would have meant they are, approaching the lion quite aggressively. It's also signaling to the other hyenas, follow me, follow me, follow me. But with other animals, with, say, prey animals, since we're talking about predators, it would mean, it's a sign of fear. With lions and hyenas, if they twitch the tail up. See, they're coming again, coming closer and closer to the one lion lying on the termite mound. That lion's actually withdrawing its ears now. That would also be a sign of aggression. So I know with lions and leopards, when they swish their tail up like that, it's usually a bad sign for us. If they're looking at you, that they might just charge you. So you can see the closest hyenas, they all have their tails up. The ones at the back, the ones that are not actually approaching, their tails are down. It's a good start to the morning. Very uncertain of themselves. They won't come alone. Remember earlier, though, when there were 3 of them approaching, it was a lot quicker. Now, if one turns around, the other one's very unsure, keeps looking around, see where its friends are. So we're still missing a few members of this pride. The same ones we saw yesterday evening. Looks like 3 of them are missing, 3 of the lionesses. We've got the lead lioness here, the young male, and then all the youngsters, all the cubs. It seems like the hyenas are now backing away. I think from that distance they could see there's really no sign of any carcass here. So nothing really worth fighting for. Turning into a beautiful morning. We had nearly 30 milliliters of rain last night. So again, no off-roading, and it's worked out perfectly for us. This entire pride is, well, basically on the road. Some of them are actually on the road. And then all this is happening right next to the road. It's just wonderful. So that young hyena running away. Marianne asking if more hyenas come, would they make the lions leave? Marianne, like I said earlier, there's really no need for a fight here. There's no carcass. So it would almost just be a death wish on their behalf to come and storm the lions if there's nothing really to fight for. It's not like the lions killed anything here and now the hyenas are coming to try steal it. So even if more hyenas come, it's almost pointless. And in all honesty, 10 lions, even though a lot of these are youngsters, just over 2 years old, or some of them even approaching 2 years, it's a formidable force. So I would say you probably need somewhere in the range of 30 plus hyenas to make the lions move. You can see this, so the lioness we focused on now, that's the lead lioness, the white-hot female. And she's not even approached hyenas. She's not walked closer. She doesn't feel threatened by them at all. Then way in the distance is the young male. He's not approached hyenas at all. He doesn't feel threatened at all. Very, very, very relaxed. So we're going to sit here for a while, see if anything else unfolds. There's actually a couple of vultures now also surrounding this area, so all the scavengers are coming out to play, see what the lions are up to. So we'll just sit here for a little while longer.
We're still hearing lions calling all over here, some off down towards the south, and then I think the rest of the pride off towards the east, and nobody seems to have been able to find them. They found the male, but we haven't managed to find any sign of the pride, so I think we'll probably head off to the east and see if we can help find them. We did hear them answer once, but I suspect they're still moving because it's such a cool, blustery morning. Anyway, that's what's going on here. Otherwise, of course, it rained all night, which means that it's very difficult to see any sign of tracks. You can go that way, BK. I'll walk around here. Yeah, that's, I was being artistic. Yeah. And so any tracks that we do find are obviously going to be very, very recent, which is great for us. Did you see what my plan was there, BK?
I like it.
Yeah. Good. Excellent. But otherwise, everything's pretty quiet out here right now, which you'd expect it to be. We'll continue to practice our artistic shots in the meantime.
Now here in Mara, we come across some lionesses with a young male resting. It looks like she's cleaning herself. Probably they had a meal last night. It's a little bit cold, so they gathered where it's warm enough. And as the sun is rising, they at least can feel some warmth. Look, that he's a little bit sleepy, but something caught his attention. That's why he woke up. Look at how he is twisting and turning. You can hear over in the distance some good news or wildebeest. Until temperatures rise up, they'll be here because it's a little bit warm. Looks like they're so sleepy. Maybe they had a busy night. But sometimes when lions are a bit full, that can keep them warm. That's why you can see that lion sleeping there. Look at how he's breathing. She's breathing rather. Louise, thank you so much for your question. No news at this time now. We've not heard about the Sausage Tree Pride because we've had a concentration of game around this area where we are. But we'll get you updated, Louise, as soon as we hear some news of the Sausage Tree Pride. Cleaning on the face there. They look like they fed, but it was not a big meal. There's three lionesses with one teenage or sub-adult lion there. Male who is actually not in the fringes of the pride, but I think he's been a little bit kicked out. You can see the other lioness there. Look at her stomach. She looks like she fed, but whatever they fed was not enough for the 4 lions. Tim, thank you so much for your question. That is called a yellow-throated sparfowl, or yellow-necked sparfowl. Very, very noisy. I'm sure she's in the woods there. Seems like she's so clean. She needs to be super, super clean, especially when there's dew on the grass. As they walk, they collect lots of dust and mud, so that's why she's cleaning there. Cleaning her clothes. So soon these lions will be on a mission. Either walk for shade, and if there's an opportunity, they'll go for one. But they look like they're a little bit full, but But sometimes when lands can be full, if an opportunity arises, they'll definitely go after it. I'm going to sit here and watch this land for a little while as we take you over to another safari vehicle.
We're looking at lion-coloured fungus at the moment, and this fungus is growing out of a fallen marula tree, a once proud giant that is now slowly becoming part of the earth again, and that's being helped along its way by termites and funguses. I mean fungi. Now, I don't know what this beautiful coloured fungus is, but I will tell you that it's quite liquid, which I think is quite odd. Maybe that's just the water from the rain that's turned it so. But it's very interesting how it's bubbling out from underneath the wood. And it'll be digesting the wood slowly. And then the other thing to look at here on the wood is these lines. Very clear lines. Now this is the activity of wood borers and probably termites actually. And this would have been at a stage when this tree still had bark on it, and the termites would have worked underneath the bark and eaten away at the woody surface. Here you can see a little path. But with it exposed like this, the termites will be active either inside or they will have abandoned it. But it looks to me like they're active inside the wood. Now, I'm not sure what species of termite this will be. I suspect it'll be a fungus grower of some description. And, well, that's where they are. So providing all sorts of food and nutrients to various different kinds of creatures. Here is more bracket fungus. And this particular bracket fungus, I'm not great on the names of fungus. In fact, I'm very poor. But it is a bracket fungus, and there are lots of different kinds of that too. And there's even a seed that has buried itself probably in the soil created by the termites inside there, which is quite nice. Oh, it's quite a breeze blowing. Dizzy, carnivorous plants we don't really have a lot of here. In fact, I don't know of any. We get something called a carrion plant, but that smells like rot, and I think it only smells like rot because it attracts flies to help pollinate it, but I don't think it actually eats them. The pitcher plants, I think there are species of pitcher plants in Africa. There might be. In fact, I think there are, but we don't get them here, as far as I'm aware. No pitcher plants, no Venus flytraps, that sort of thing. Right. The lions have stopped calling now. The male's still calling once or intermittently from the southwest there. And so we'll carry on to the east and see if we can find any tracks.
Well, good morning from a very grey, gloomy Pridelands. I'm sure it's the same at all the camps in South Africa, perhaps maybe slightly different at and beyond Punda. But my name is TAYLA MCCURDY, and on camera with me today, desperately trying to put a bird on screen for you, is Sebastian Arombi. And we're surrounded by a bird party at the morning. So I'm actually going to stop talking so that you can all have a listen. Isn't that awesome? You can hear a palace calling. There's a grated flycatcher also calling. There were some chin spot battises and, of course, a long-billed crombeck. But we did have a lovely view of some of the little flycatchers, but unfortunately they were not willing to hang around for too long. Well, they did stay for quite some time, eh, Seb? Oh, it was nice. They're actually sitting right close to the car. You know what I'm trying to see if I can see anything else. So what happens with these little bird parties is that there's typically quite a few small species of birds that will all feed together. So they're trying to flush out insects at various levels. But normally when you see one or two of them, they come in sort of a big wave. Now you can hear the arrow mark babblers. So I know we don't have much to show you. There is a tiny little blackbird flying, but of course, watch, it's going to hide behind all the trees now. I think it might be a southern black tit. I can't see it now. You can only be really seeing silhouetted birds this morning, so it could be... Oh, here we go. Here's a long-billed crombeck. Seb, I'm sorry. It's probably going to fly before Seb can get it. It's behind those branches. There we go. Look at it. One of the smaller little birds that we see is normally quite pretty, a little rufous flank. Maybe it'll come and sit quite close to us. But easy to tell, a very long, slender beak and almost no tail.
So, not too much has changed here. Odie and I have just been laughing, giggling the entire time. There was a very unfortunate jackal that came from the clearings, actually where that... So it seems like that youngster's now seen something that it wants to stalk. But before this, he was stalking a jackal. And the jackal just kept running closer and closer and closer, but couldn't do so quietly because it was being mobbed by... It was being mobbed by a number of birds. And so it just kept running towards the lions to try and get away from the birds, and then ran into the pride of lions. A very unfortunate morning for the jackal, if I had to be honest. So I don't know what this lion has heard, but it's got the attention of the entire pride. See, it's got its head up and looking in that direction. Actually, some of the youngsters from our left, from our western side, is now also coming to the right. Debbie, how did these lions get up white? Debbie, they were born this way. It's known as a white lion, and what happens is it's a recessive gene that causes this pigmentation. It's a bit like leucism. They are not albino lions or albino lions. They've still got pigmentation behind their ears, on the tip of the tails, and in their eyes. So both the mom and the dad has to have this recessive gene, and voila, they turn out white. So it's very excited about something. I'm going to go a little bit forward. Can't follow them off-road, sadly, but I'm going to try just keep an eye on them. You can see the ones actually running in front there. Maybe there's another lioness coming from the other side. So it's going to be a whole greeting ceremony. Let's get just a nice little gap, and we'll show you that. So here's one of the missing lionesses. So now we're missing just two of them. Odie, I'm going to park here. It actually looks like they might come and walk our way. So that should work. Ja, Debbie, that's just a recessive gene that makes them white, both from the mom and the dad. It's quite nice. So it could be that this entire pride actually has that gene in them. So we're hoping for a few more white lions in the future. Rachel is asking, are the young lions old enough to hunt now? Rachel, we were discussing exactly the same thing yesterday when they were stalking buffalo. So they are, you'll see now when it's a youngster going towards one of the adult females, and you can see it's nearly her size, shoulder height, back height. It's nearly as big as she is. So definitely they lend a hand to to the hunting, especially they need the extra weight to bring down something like a buffalo or a giraffe, but they're not yet as skilled as the mothers are in stalking. And you can almost see this clearly every single time they go in for a hunt. They keep their head high and their shoulders up. A lot of love going in there. You know, to see what they're hunting instead of trusting their instincts. I don't think their instincts is that well developed yet. But they're definitely big enough to add some weight to bringing some prey species down. Almost feel sorry for this lioness because she's the new one to join, so everyone's trying to tackle her, and you can see her mouth almost pulling back in a snarl. She does not want to be tackled by every single lion in its pride. It's nice to see the white lions after rain. They look so clean. I think eventually they're all coming towards the road. They're all going to come towards us, which is quite nice. So we're just going to sit here for a while still. If they cross the road and go further west, we can't follow them. So we'll just sit here and see what happens.
It's so wonderful to see so many lions. Here we have a chameleon lion. It's a chameleon. We're in the block looking for the Nkuhumas, and then we came across this chameleon on a branch. Looks like it's sleeping, but also doesn't look too well. Most of the time in the wild, they won't sleep with two eyes closed. Almost always see one eye open, and both this one's eyes are closed, and you can see that it's dark. When they're aggravated, or I've seen when a chameleon is even dying, then they can become quite dark. But the other reason they would go dark or elect to go dark is if they want to absorb more sunlight. So maybe with the rain and the cloudiness, it's gotten portions of its body a little darker. A red-crested quail and calling there. You can see there's patches all along it. It's also sitting in a very exposed area. It was so easy to see it. Can you see dark patches along its tail? I don't think it looks very well. Safari kitty, you say it looks skinny? It does look skinny. Also, they can position their bodies like this. Or they can flatten it and they can make it look wider. So I'm not sure if that's an indication of its health. But you are right, it does look skinny. I don't think it's doing too well. I jumped off and had a good look at it. And it did not react at all, did not open its eyes. Like I said, they generally won't have both eyes closed while they sleep. And really by this time he should be awake. They're diurnal. Louise, you say it looks deep in chameleon dreamland. I hope so. I hope it is just deep in chameleon dreamland. Skin looks a little dehydrated too. Unfortunately, this is not one we can check up on often because it's right in the middle of the block. And with the rains and all of that, I think it'll be a little insensitive to continue to off-road in here. So I'm going to keep on going on the roads and hope that the lions come out.
Good luck, Trish. Right, so we're quite lucky. I mean, they've settled again and again. It's right next to the road, not very far from us. I think the closest line is about 10 meters away, and the rest are just spread out. I think that they're still waiting for 2 lionesses, and I would bet that the 2 lionesses are going to come from the same direction that the other lioness just came, so from the eastern side. Some of them are, actually majority of them are facing that way. I think also just waiting for these lionesses to emerge. But it was interesting to see when they were walking, some of their tummies were hanging. So I think they did eat something last night. They must have been lucky. I mean, with that weather, the amount of wind and the rain and just the sound would have masked their noise completely. And of course their scent. They would have hunted from the north into the south, so thereby walking into the wind, not making any noise. It would have been the perfect night to hunt. And it was very dark with all the clouds. I mean, you can see that female that just rolled over. I mean, if you look at the size of her stomach, definitely had something to eat. Yeah, big girl. I think she had the lion's share of whatever they killed. Quite nice also that both the white lions are basically lying down next to each other. BB asking if white lions are noticed by the others as being different. I'm sure they are. You know, predators would be able to see that they are of a different color. They'll stand out a little bit more. They're not treated differently though. You know, all of them were treated with love. All of them were allowed to drink from the mom at whatever stage they felt fit. So it's not like they are treated different to the rest of the pride. But we were just talking about it. It's phenomenal to see how much time the young white female spends with her young white brother. As you can see in this shot, they're both lying down next to each other. They were playing for a little while together. So yeah, the rest of the pride must notice that they are different, but they're not treated differently. But they do stick out a little bit more in the bush, especially summertime when everything goes green. Just have this flash of light. Remember when they were quite a bit smaller and we were trying to track them? It's actually quite easy to find. Kath C, I hope I got your name right, asking, does the white gene pose or the white color pose any problem when hunting? I'm sure it would. You know, like I was saying, when we were tracking them when they were younger, it almost sticks out. Like, it's like seeing a bone or a white flag in the bush. So it remains to be seen, but you can imagine that white and black actually is the 2 colors that stick out most in the bush, which is why you'll notice on the tip of a lion's tail it's black, on the tip of its ear it's black, on a leopard's tail it's white. And these are all follow me signs, so that the cubs can easily spot these 2 colors. So as you can imagine, these 2 lines being white, it's basically like one huge follow me sign. Remains to be seen though. I think they'll do okay. You know, they've already gone past the age of 1 year. And especially the white lioness, she'll be incorporated into this pride, which already they are incredible hunters. And the white male will join his 2 brothers, maybe 4 brothers even, and form a coalition. So I've got high hopes for both of them surviving. I think his power and strength and just size is going to help him through life as well. He's already very, very, very large. He's got an enormous head. Luckily this year the grass is so long so that they could actually disappear. And again, now it's after rain, they look very clean, but a lot of the time they're quite dirty, a little bit more tawny. Most of them just to settle here now. So just waiting for 2 lionesses to come join the other 2 that we saw last night. So starting to groom each other, groom their own paws, especially now after walking through wet grass. They want to get that itchy bit off of their paws. Feel the wind starting to pick up again. That one cub just got up and approached the mother, and she growled. You could actually hear him moaning. I think we might just sit here still for a while and see if the other 2 lionesses would join.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Tswalu Kalahari. Very windy morning this morning, so we have decided to change our plan of action. Joining myself, Carl, and behind camera is Glenn. We have decided just to visit another watering hole set up over here. With this wind, we want to let animals rather come to us, see what we can have here at the watering hole. So it's a really good spot for birds. It's a really important watering point for a lot of mammals that come from the mountainside, as well as from the westerly sections of this part that we're in. So with this wind, we decided hunkering down at one spot and hopefully something walking in to come say hello to us. Thank you very much for joining us. It's absolutely wonderful in this very chilly, very windy sunrise safari. But we're going to keep fingers crossed on what can come say hello. There's already a few birds coming in. The sun is just starting to illuminate the western set dunes, and it's creeping ever so closely this way. Amanda, yes, so the southern masked weavers are currently here. Your white-browed sparrow weavers, they don't leave. They stay here all year round. But the southern masked weavers have, in the past 2 weeks, have become very busy building those beautifully crafted and woven nests. And there is actually a few of them in the vicinity, so hopefully we can take a look at 1 or 2 of them and the skills that is involved in making these unbelievable little nests. And the social weavers, they also stay here in the Northern Cape all year round. But we're definitely going to try and take a look at those beautiful southern masked weaver nests. You can see the wind. It is quite vicious this morning, but very important to move things around. Soil, small organisms, seeds, you name it. Very, very important factor, although most of us dislike it. But a beautiful morning nonetheless. So when we have a gap, we're also going to talk a little bit about our sighting from yesterday. Oh, so that's a good question. Are you not afraid of animals while walking? So it's all a cumulative knowledge that gives you the understanding not to be scared out here, because nothing is necessarily out here to harm you. And if I just use my knowledge and my skills and I remain calm, I know animal behavior, it's pretty telltale. As long as I keep my wits about me and I remain calm, no. The most important thing about being on foot in the bush is that you never panic. Animals want to do their own thing. They want to avoid conflict. So if they see me and I'm a bit too close, they would opt for the option to rather run away than engage in conflict. And Obviously, local knowledge is very important for a guide, knowing what animals occur in what areas. So at the moment, I feel pretty safe. Glenn's eyes, no, he looks pretty safe as well. He's feeling very comfortable. So we're going to send you off to another amazing location, and then we'll see you shortly.
Back to our lions. They've not done anything yet. They're still sleeping here, warming up. The sun is slowly rising. And I'm sure when it gets hot, they'll actually walk out of here. They look like they've already fed. These two lionesses here keep changing, taking turns. One scans and then gets back to sleep while the other takes turn also. Because the young male is from the bride, they still tolerate him around them. But I'm sure when these lionesses get to give birth or get their small, tiny cubs, they'll not tolerate this young male here. So he's actually been kicked out. I'm sure if the dad comes across him, he'll not be happy. Sorry, the males keep on growing when they get to about 4 to 7 years. They keep growing, but after that, the men will not continue growing. But sometimes we find lions that have this type of mane in other parts of the world, especially in other parts of Kenya, where it depends on the gene. Sometimes the gene pool depends on the growth of mane, the growth of these lions. That's why you find some other lions can be pale, some others have white or dark mane. But in this ecosystem of Amboseli and some parts of Tsavo, you find lions to have very small light mane. But in the Masai Mara Serengeti ecosystem, you find lions with very big dark mane. So in future, this lion might have a change in color of mane and the growth also. It would be nice to see them walking, but I'm sure these lions are happy and peaceful staying here. So I'm going to relocate and go to a different area to see if there's more activity from last night. So let's leave these lions here. As I'm driving to find more game and more activity, let's take you over to another safari vehicle.
So there hasn't been too much movement up until now. There's one hyena calling very far east from where these lions are, so you can see the one in the foreground actually staring in that direction. And the other one just having a drink in a nice little puddle. Otherwise, very quiet. No more hyenas, no more jackal, no more vultures joining in. Just the Birmingham pride, relaxing. So just the one female, the one that was so full-bellied, she's cleaning her paws. It actually caused a little bit of jealousy. The white little female walked past her, I think just to check what she's cleaning, if there's any blood on it or anything like that. But then, yeah, she growled at her and she walked away. It's amazing. It was still drizzling or raining. Beach Boy asking how rare are white lions. Beach Boy, to give you an example, you are looking at 2 of only 3 wild white lions in the entire world. the emphasis there being on wild. So a lot of them are bred in captivity. You know, a white lion plus a white lion makes a white lion. But in the wild, the gene is quite rare. Not too many of them. I think it's also because probably it's not the best color to be out here if you want to be a hunter. Like I was saying earlier, you know, they do stick out quite a bit. So it's not the best gene, but quite rare to find. It's, for a lot of people, I think for a lot of guides as well, that's been in the industry for 15 to 20 years, they've never ever seen a wild white lion. The other one is in Singita. And then we had reports of another baby somewhere in this area, I think not too far from Ngala. It was, a photo was taken out of a plane flying over, and saw the little white thing running away from it. So there might just be a fourth white lion somewhere in this area. Should be quite nice, but yeah, not too many wild white lions anymore. And you can see why. So like I was saying, no, don't worry. Sticks and Stones asking, are there Rossmales in the general area? Sticks and Stones, they might be. They actually might not be. We don't know. We haven't heard them. I've not seen tracks of them. We can't really go off-road. I think if they were in the general area, they would probably be with the Pride. They might be way further west from here. They could be to the east of here, so yeah, we don't know. I can't really answer that question truthfully and tell you yes, they are in the general area. But they'll be somewhere around and beyond Ngala, I can tell you that. So it was still drizzling this morning when we...
Oh, there we go. Hello, everybody. Sorry about that rather abrupt change in your lives to come and join us, but we found tracks finally of the Nkuhuma Pride. Now, what it looks like is that these tracks are on top of the rain. And it rained until around about 4:30 this morning, and so the lions came this way last night, and that's why we headed this way. And then obviously they came or turned around and started heading back towards the west this morning. Now, they were seen around the dam cam earlier, and when I had those reports, I assumed that they had come back up to this area where we are now. I suspect that these tracks are not particularly fresh, that they have come from just before they arrived back at the dam cam. So I don't know where they are, but we'll follow along and see where they end up. So, quite nice. And it's the whole Pride. We can see big lions and little lions. That's a relatively little lion. There's another littleish lion. And then the one that arrested my attention was this one here, which is a full-size lioness. There she is. The male continues to call, so he's obviously looking for them, obviously wondering where they are and why they've left him. And I must say, it was really cute yesterday watching those Birmingham males interact with the Pride. We've cast aspersions on the not the Birminghams, we've cast aspersions on the evokers, and Tristan in particular has been particularly amusing about them, because they came in here, they didn't fight to take the territory, they haven't really had to fight to defend it, it's not been invaded really, although there have been a couple of interloping males, but nobody's really challenged them. And they've been injured most of the time, and they limp along. There's only one of them that doesn't limp. The others seem to be in a permanent state of agony when they walk. But they've produced cubs, and it's so funny to watch them with their cubs because they're so patient. Snazzy, you want to know if I'd rather be a lion or a leopard? I think that I would rather be a leopard. In fact, I know I would rather be a leopard. I think like many people I've spoken to over the years on this show, I'm relatively introverted, and I think leopards get along quite well as introverts. And I think that they live a more intelligent life than lions do. That's not saying that lions are unintelligent for what they have to do, but leopards seem to lead a more intelligent and interesting life. So I'd be a leopard. Okay, we've got the lions. Come. I think William's actually found them. Do you see them? Okay, the lions are right here. I can see them now. Well done. So as we were looking at the tracks, William and Solly just wandered into the block here to follow up. Now this won't be a great view. We might just get a quick glimpse. Walking up that way. All of them. Okay, it's all of them. Shall we carry on up here? We'll just see if we can get a quick glimpse, everybody. It's so exciting to see lions on foot. We'll just bring William in front because he knows exactly where they are. Are you sure you want to link away right now? There's a lion right here.
See the clear.
Yeah.
See the
Can you see it there? Just step across to where Solly is there.
That brown thing, that's the head is getting up.
I must confess that I'm unable to see them right now. But William can see them.
See the tree with the small bush here?
Yeah, close.
See the gap there? Yeah, it's very close. Right? See the head to the looking eyes straight.
We can see it. Good. Oh, yes, okay, got him now. Well done, BK. That's one of the youngsters. Isn't that fantastic? That's exactly what we set out to come and find this morning. And now we found them. Now, what we'll do in this situation is not try and get a better view on foot, because they will move away, and if you irritate them sufficiently, they'll rev you, which we don't want. And so we'll call TRISHALA into the sighting, because she'll be interested in seeing them, and she'll be able to get much closer in the vehicle. TRISHALA, do you copy? Well done, Solly.
Yeah,
well done, William. TRISHALA, come in.
Standing by.
Trish, we've located the Nkuhuma Pride. They're in between Hyena Road and Gari Cut Line. They're on the ridge crest, I would say about 200 meters south of the fire break.
James, please go again. I know you're located. Give the location.
200 meters south of the fire break between Hyena Road and Gari Cut Line on the ridge crest.
Copy, thank you. Make my way.
All right, welcome back to Tswalu. Back on board our live safari vehicle this side. we're just busy appreciating these beautiful structures within this tree. These are nests made by the white-browed sparrow weaver, and we can see from its very untidy appearance, its size, and then one could also use the entrance. Entrance, depending on the species of weaver, can be an indication of who made it. And with the short entrance here, the messy appearance, and then the number of nests, definitely white-browed sparrow weavers. Nice question asked, are the weavers back previously? Those southern masked weavers would make marginal movements in some areas, but they are very busy now. So this is when the males will start that building process, creating these very, very neat, tidy woven nests, in all in the hopes to impress a lovely lady. If she accepts, she lines the nest, and the rest is history. He will then start building another nest. But this species itself is very unique, is that there's one breeding pair within the colony. And the colony joint will defend an area a couple of meters around the actual nest sites. They are territorial, and it's very easy to pinpoint the alpha male and female, because they will be the largest, most vocal, and the most aggressive to be within that position. But really remarkable how the bird is able to do this, but yet it's not taught. This species does do a little bit of what we refer to as cooperative breeding. So you'll have individuals remaining within this colony and actually helping out, nest building, a little bit of parental care. So they do physically learn over a period of time before they disperse. Unlike the southern masked weaver, they just kind of have a knack for it. Something that's obviously passed on, where the male will practice it for a couple of years, and then eventually he'll become this very skillful builder to impress the ladies. It is in a tricky position, so we're just going to have to reposition maybe a little bit later to show you those intricate, beautiful little nests. And but yeah, what we will be doing is focusing on a bit of birding here as well this morning, with this crazy wind we have. Oh yes, on our sighting from yesterday. Oh my word. So my initial prediction or thought would have been, male or female, or then male and male. Just reading back and looking at that beautiful creature and its family group, I'm going to have to say I'm going to have to stick to my gut, which changed towards the end, which would be male and male. So there was two males competing, just the movements, how they were biting each other, the rolling, one trying to evade, and that one obviously giving that little victory walk going back to the burrow. Because if I think about it practically, the female would still have to build up reserves, then her body would start producing pheromones a little bit later. There could be a possibility that could have been a female, but I'm going to go with my gut, and I'm going to put my money down on two males fighting. So a female would have to accumulate enough material, her body would have to come into the correct status, then obviously her body would release pheromones. Those pheromones then will be trailed by a male, successful mating, and then only in the midst of summer would she deposit those eggs. And then, like I said, 10 months incubation within a cavity, which is fairly long. And then they will hatch somewhere around the beginning or mid of the wet season, and perfect for little young lizards to be around. When it comes to displaying and courting, lizards can go through quite a variety of displays and courtship behavior, either with colours on their throat and the dewlap, or head bobbing, as they refer to, the male bouncing his head up and down, trying to impress a female. It's also for territorial disputes. But then the male has to kind of woo the lady, into hopes of successfully mating. So I'm going to put my hands down on a male-on-male combat that we witnessed yesterday, which was unbelievable and really remarkable thing to see. So beautiful sight here. Got a few birds calling. The birds in flight that are crossing us, those are swallows that are coming down to the water here, and we're going to hold tight. We'll see you shortly.
Here in the manor, we come across a big herd of wildebeest, and they all seem that they're walking towards the east. Look at how the sun is shining to their beautiful white mane. And across over and beyond in the savannah, it's an extension of herds and herds and herds. Unbelievable. At this time of the year, most of them will be heading down towards Serengeti, but we're lucky that they are still here. Not quite sure if they'll stay for the entire month or they'll be leaving by mid-month, which is only 4 days away. But change of weather makes the unusual pattern of their movement because there's adequate food supply, and that is what keeps this herd around here. There's plenty of water too, so we don't see them actually frequenting to the Mara River. There's a big swamps. The swamps are filled with water, and along these plains there's lots of water puddles. So depending on the weather pattern, they keep on splitting up, some moving to the east, some moving to the west, north, south, but still congregating before the rains. Then it's on these herds or wildebeest can be able to smell rain up to 50 kilometers away. We've had a few showers yesterday and the previous day, and it's evident that they follow the rain pattern. Also, research suggests that they can also be attracted to the thunder and lightning. How wonderful is that? I love the sound. I like how they're moving and how they're grazing. It's so beautiful. We've seen lots of lions that have full lion hunts, and these are the awards that keeps these prides into their state that they are. We've seen a big pride, and which is evident that they're already eaten and probably they're taken down a wildebeest. Now, if you're not for these herds, then the pride or the lion number can also be going down, because sometimes we find lions following these prides. We've seen lions that come from all the way from the Serengeti to the Masai Mara, so that these herds play an important role in the success rate of predators within this ecosystem. Hyenas, cheetah, leopard, their success comes Nature lover, thank you so much for your question. So wildebeest don't have a designated leader. So sometimes one can lead and then stop to graze, and then another one takes turn. They split up, join up, so they don't have designated leaders at all. So anyone can pick the lead. It's also interesting to note that when these herds are here, they're mixed with zebras. But sometimes, as they carry on grazing, they split up. We have often at times when they're heading back to the south or to the Serengeti, you see that the zebras are the last ones to follow, which is so interesting. So I'm just going to drive to a core area where there's lots of herds, see if we can get into these herds and a few zebras maybe. This is so interesting to see. As far as your eyes can extend, that's all wildebeest. And as I try to go to a location where there's a big herd, let's take you over to another safari vehicle.
So all these lions still have their heads up, and you know, it's cool enough. It's not like the sun is beating down and they're looking for shade and they want to sleep. We're still waiting for one lioness now to join. The one is coming from the eastern side again. You can see her belly is also swinging from side to side. She turned around for a little while as the wildebeest started, well, basically alarm calling in that distance. So maybe it's seen the other lioness now walking through, also from that side. But But yeah, I think they've almost found their spot to settle for the morning, at least. It's amazing to see how green it is here now. In about a week, all this has changed. Of course, good grazing ground for things like wildebeest, zebra. You often find a lot of impala in these areas. Where we are now is known as Buffalo Flats. Ironically, I think I've seen a herd of buffalo here maybe twice in the past 7 years. See how she stops at the one sister, just greets her and then comes on. So this lioness has a little black dot just underneath her right eye. She's the mother of the white male. Coming slowly towards the pride. I think she might settle down there. Looks like she's looking for a place to sleep. And there we go. Very, very, very full-bellied. This time around, it looks like the lioness has definitely ate more than the cubs. Very pretty lioness, isn't it? Jolly Whiskey asking when will the white male be matured enough to leave the pride? So, you know, it's quite circumstantial, because if there were to be big males that moved into the area and they fought with the Ross males and either kicked them out or killed them, then they would have to leave now. And I believe they'd actually make it. You know, it's not like they would be killing buffalo or anything, but it's all instinctual for them. They are able to hunt. Other than that, if the Ross male could stay territorial for the next 2 years, they might just hang around for the next 2 years. Otherwise, you mostly find that young male lions tend to leave the pride from about 2.5 to 3.5 years. So it's nearly time. Or about another year or so. Saying that, the Birmingham young male, he should have left about 2 years ago now. And he's still with the pride. So again, it's very circumstantial. So that's the Birmingham young male there. And he's been bullied, he's been bitten, he's been hurt in very, very bad condition. And he just bounces back every single time. It's also he's scared to go off by himself. But why leave if you have an entire pride that does the hunting? I mean, everything is easier in numbers out here. Very pretty male, this, the white one. I think we're all very excited to see what he looks like when he grows up into a big, strong male. Kind of nice hairdo there, a little bit of a mohawk going down the neck. Katie asking, is there an alpha matriarch within lion prides? So here in the Birmingham Pride, you have two sisters that are 13 or 14 years old now, and they are the lead lionesses. They're pretty much the ones who decide when it's time to move, which direction they move, what they hunt, and they are huge. I'd like to think that these males, also the Birmingham young male being so big, it's mostly to do with the genes of the mother, rather than the Ross males. And you can also see it the way the Ross males approach them. They'll do it very, very carefully, because these are two very large lionesses. So yeah, there is a bit of a matriarchy going on, especially with those two. You'll always have your oldest, wisest females in a pride of lions. They are the largest two lions in this pride, or lionesses. That's why we always talk about the white dot female as the lead lioness, and then her sister. So we're not going to spend too much longer here. I'm just waiting for Katie to get here, and then we'll actually venture off. I think the rain might start again soon, so we want to see what else we can find before this happens.
Well, nature is not always very fun. It's very cruel sometimes. And I have this zebra that I've spotted from a distance. that I don't know really what made that wound. It looks like crocodiles while crossing the river. Looks like she has lost a little bit of weight from losing blood. I hope she survives. That is a Bachel's zebra that survived a crossing, and she is walking towards those zebras and wildebeest that are busy migrating. They are going deeper into the Mara, so they haven't yet started turning back towards the Serengeti, and that's the direction they should be heading. Remember, I'm in Masai Mara in Kenya, East Africa, and we're witnessing this prolonged wildebeest migration that have stayed and overstayed, and looks like they're getting deeper into our territory. And so I don't know how much longer they will be staying, but it's going to be very interesting. We will be updating you every day on what is happening. But look at them, they're not eating, they're not standing. It's just a mass movement. And this is what we call the migration. When migrating, we have about 3 million animals in total. That is wildebeest, zebra, topi, eland, Thompson's gazelle, and many more. That is the view we have here. I hope you're appreciating it. It's really fun and beautiful. Over there, it's the overdrop of the Olololo escarpment. Apart from that, we are here and we have one of my favorite animals, the tall one. We call it Murefu, which means the tall one in local language or in slang over here in Kenya. Also called Twiga, spelled T-W-I-G-A, that is Swahili for Twiga, for giraffe. Yes, it looks like she's listening. And this is a very fully grown female, busy feeding on a little shrub. Looks like one of potato bushes that she's feeding on, and she's loving it. Looks like also she's carrying a little one. Yeah, so she's pregnant. We have seen a very good number of young ones this time of the year, and so it looks like our numbers are increasing. That neck, as you can see, a giraffe being equipped with one of the biggest hearts and highest blood pressures. When the blood is pumped towards the head, it's got modified sort of valves that help reduce the flow of blood onto the head when it's leaning down like that, so it doesn't flood the head with too much blood. That is a very good close-up of how it uses its lips to pluck, the leaves of bushes. So you can tell it's eating the really soft stuff, that tongue coming out and really doing its job of grabbing and pulling out the leaves. That must be very delicious. You can tell how it loves that. Yeah, beautiful ears, the long eyelashes, protecting the eye from all those leaves and thorns. This is the Maasai giraffe, the only one of its kind that we have here in the Mara, and those hairy tufts on top of its ossicons tells me she is a female. Remember to, engage us on hashtag Wild Earth. Questions and comments are really welcome. Yeah, and she's having loads and lots of fun. Well, I'm gonna stay here for a little bit, and while I do that, yeah, let's take you to another location.
Well, what a first visitor that we have. Beautiful sable bull coming down to the watering hole. And an impressive sable that is. It's an early morning drink, and more than likely going off now for a bit of grazing. Predominantly a grazer will browse through other periods of the year when it's a little bit lean on the grass. The wind's still whipping through this side. A very impressive antelope to see, especially by the watering hole. It's a species of antelope that is a selective grazer, so grazing on certain parts, and he's just within his core range now. So more than likely going to go to a spot where he's got a bit of grazing availability, and then he'll accumulate all the material that he needs for the morning, midday, sit down, bit of rumination, and then early afternoon becoming fairly mobile again. That's why it's always great to have the game drives early morning, late afternoons, because when we have animals being the most mobile, to and from water, intensive feeding, and this is the best period to view animal activity. What an impressive animal. Let's take a look at the water's edge here quickly. Very, very large set of horns on that animal. And the male's being much more developed than that of the female. But a very impressive set of horns that's being possessed there. Let's see what we've got here at the water's edge. We're waiting for any bird species to come in. There's a beautiful call from a crimson-breasted shrike. Do you see the yellow canaries on the side there, Glenn? Okay.
Pigeons.
A lot of Cape turtle doves coming in. There's also a small bird busy going through a little bathing session. But the activity of animals is definitely increasing now with that sunlight that's warming up. Go to the right there, right of that big log. Some yellow canaries coming down for a drink, also doing a little bathing. Okay, just hold on quickly, guys. Beautiful bird in the tree here. Glenn's going to get us right across. Beautiful crimson-breasted shrike busy moving through this tree. Let's see, it's on the ground. Fantastic, look at that, folks. It's always such a treat to see this beautiful bird. Wow, look at that. Provisioning food, look at the male. The guy's fluttering his wings there. He's got something in his beak. So they might have a nest here, folks. Did you see that, Glenn? Mm-hmm. So there was one individual that was fluttering its wings ever so slightly, almost like vibrating his wings. And he has something in his beak. And it might be courting a female in the hopes of successfully mating and then making a nest with her. Wow, that was incredible. Beautiful sharp notes from the white-browed sparrow weavers. Oh, it's a little bit small. There's a beautiful little bird there, chestnut-vented titbabbler. We're just trying to locate it. It's always a tricky thing to try and get birds because of their movements. That shrike is still in the tree there. We've got the shrike back in view here. Oh la la, there it is. Very impressive bird. Oh, and there he flies. Oh, getting blown away here. Can you go to the water's edge, Glenn? Oh, there's a few birds over there. There's a red-headed finch there as well. Yeah, Right, beautiful yellow canary there. And there is a beautiful little bird here called a red-headed finch. We're going to try and get a view of it shortly.
It is the Nkahuma Pride, smack bang in the middle of the block between Hyena Road and Gowrie Cut Line. Very, very well hidden, as you can see, amongst all of these strychnos trees. Just very, very, very well hidden. So we need to thank Bushwalk team for being able to walk through here and follow them and call us in. Because we would have never found them amongst all this black monkey orange or this strychnos. Even now our view is not great, they're just relaxing. At least their tummies look full. Or at least some of the tummies. The ones I can see. There's one evoker with them. I can't see who it is. All I can see is a very shaggy mane in the background. And we know that the other evoker is there on Philemon's dip. Everyone is very tired. I'm sure they must have eaten last night with bellies like that. So many lions for this lazy Sunday. I'm quite happy that we at least found them.
Welcome to and Beyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. As you can see, we have come across a beautiful secretary bird in these open plains in the western side of our reserve. My name is Kim, and behind the camera we have Craig, and we will be with you this morning. It's quite exciting to see a secretary bird out in the middle of these big open plains. It was busy preening itself as we saw it. And now, as you can see how massive that bird is. It weighs up to about 4 kilograms. It can be about 150 centimeters in size. A very distinctive bird. You won't really mistake it for anything else. And what it's doing right now is it's actually hunting. So it's walking around. You can see those very long, slender legs. And it looks for quite a variety of things. Small mammals, birds, reptiles, and snakes. And what it does is when it manages to find something like that, it actually takes those legs and it uses them to repeatedly hit the prey on the ground until it manages to kill it. And the larger prey, it will sort of strip off little bits by holding it in those talons and then biting strips off with its bill. And smaller prey, it will actually just swallow whole. So that's why it's walking around at speed. It's trying to spot some movement, see if there's anything it can hunt this morning. Really quite a rare bird to see. You don't see them very often. I mean, I think this might be able to count the number of times in my hand I've actually seen this bird on our reserve. So it's quite a special thing for us to be seeing this morning. It's quite a windy, cold day here. We've been looking for cheetah that we were with yesterday. We haven't had any luck yet, but I think in this kind of weather you never know what you're going to find because it's nice and cool, so they might have a bit more energy to carry on hunting. So we're going to carry on looking around these open areas, see if we find any sign of those cheetah. We also saw some rhino up on the hill, so we might go and see if we can get a better view of those rhino up there. I hope you're all a little bit more warm and comfy and cozy in your beds or in your rooms right now, because I can tell you there's quite a chill in the area today. So I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to carry on. We're going to drive up through these open plains and just keep checking on the high areas. You know, when we saw that cheetah, she would go up onto the hills and use those positions to scan over these open areas, see if she can spot anything for her to hunt. So that's exactly the kind of areas that we're going to be checking this morning. Let's carry on.
Well, we're still here with them. At least someone's opened their eyes now. We're also seeing some lightning in the distance. Luckily, not too close just yet. Maybe just about 20 kilometers away or so. So we're just going to keep an eye on that and keep an eye on our lovely pride here. I've been trying to look for a path for maybe to get a better view, but it seems like this is as good as it's going to get for now. Oh, little one. Your belly is full, you're all cuddly. Nature lover, you'd like to know if lions have cubs every year, or do they wait till the others are grown? They don't have cubs every year. So what they will do is they'll wait till the first lot of cubs are sufficiently mature, basically independent, before they have a set of cubs again. The last set of cubs was 2015-2016. And then it was this set last year. So there's the gap for them to reach independence before that. And that's important, otherwise you'll just have more and more and more and more mouths to feed and more and more and more and more milk to produce. And that does not bode well for survival. You want to have enough investment to make sure that your offspring can survive at least to a point where they're independent before they have another set of cubs. I see a lioness's paw in the background, but that's all. It is just the paw. Look at that belly too. They look so fluffy and just a little bit dirty. I'm sure they would have got muddy playing around in the puddles. And even just walking because it's so wet. With more rain to come. I love when they look at us. There's so much curiosity. They know that something is here. What is it? It's not one of the usual animals we see. I just like it so much. Alright, well, I'm going to actually try and move around, see if we can get a better view. Let's do that.
I must say that the impression I got from them when we saw them this morning wasn't one of curiosity on their faces. It was one of alarm. And then we lost them on foot. And so we had to find them again before we could get TRISHALA in. And we carried on walking towards them, or towards where we thought they'd been. And then we heard... And that's not a sound that is one associates with curiosity. It's one associates with terror. And so we stopped. And the lion went... And so we moved backwards slowly. And I said to BK, they could come, so just be prepared. And then the lion went... And then it stopped. And that's the end of the story. And we survived. And they didn't charge us. Which was good. And TRISHALA's there now. Here we have got some very subtle, pretty flowers belonging to Combretum herreroense, the russet bush willow. Now, a lot of the flowers out here are fairly Well, I mean, by the standards of your average English country garden, or indeed Bloemfontein or Johannesburg garden, they're not very impressive. But they have all got a subtle smell to them. All of these pale, whitish yellow ones. And so if you stick your nose to it, you get a kind of sweetish smell of... I probably overused this term, but they have a kind of honeyed smell. And it's very pleasant at this time of the year to enjoy the smells of the bush. Yeah. It really does smell like a honey cake, almost. I'm reminded of a honey cake I ate as a child, which I've never forgotten and never managed to repeat the experience. Yeah. But you wouldn't smell it from here. You only smell it if you get really up close. And that's interesting because it's probably therefore not pollinated by bees, but by some other insect that is attracted by scent. Maybe a moth. Bees tend to be attracted by light, I think. But probably, maybe they pick up scent as well. I'm not sure. They certainly navigate by light. Anyway, that is Combritum herreriense. The lions are off in there, about 350 meters away. And so we're going to continue in the opposite direction, because we don't want to hear again. And we'll see if we can find Tlalamba the leopardess. That's our plan.
Well, from giraffes, I'm here with this lone lioness from the Mogoro Pride, and looks like she's desperately looking for her sister. You will hear her roar. Hear that? Wow, there is nothing like a lion roar, and that was enough to travel to where her sister could be, or the rest of the Pride members. In the Pride, we do have her and her sister, and so she is very desperate to have her back here. She looks very healthy and also very happy, not stressed at all. I think she only wants company. She is in her territory that stretches from here all the way to the main crossing. And the last time I saw her was quite a while. She was quite a long way. And I think they've come this way to follow the wildebeest. I don't know the main reason why they got separated, which I wonder, because she looks like she's really well. Could be that, you know, she was, the sister was hunting, or maybe she was chasing intruders. It happens sometimes when they chase intruders, they get separated slightly, but that call is enough to have the sister come back. Usually they will hear and they can pinpoint where the roar is coming from, and they'll come, you know, appearing out of the blue. I don't know if it's going to happen while we're still here, but definitely sometimes it's going to happen. Here we have no shortage of these lionesses. There are very many, but very, very, you know, few in a pride. Looks like she's looking more to the left. I don't know if it is, you know, the sister is to the left. It's hard to say which direction she's in, and you can really say that, I can say that she's not going to leave this position, because once she has roared, she doesn't want to move so that the sister can find her. Well, I'm staying here for a little bit longer. Let's find out what's happening somewhere else.
Welcome back to and beyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. So when last we were with you, we had that beautiful secretary bird. And we said we were going to head off and see what else we could find. And we came across this herd of buffalo. In fact, I think it might actually be the same herd that we saw last night. What's quite interesting is that they're moving quite quickly. You can see that they're really not stopping to feed too much. This one's paying us a little bit of attention. And they're moving off at quite a rapid pace, stopping every now and then to just sort of graze a little bit. And then they're heading off. And I think the reason why is it's quite a windy day. And they don't tend to like being out in the wind too much. So I think what they're doing is heading off into a thicker area where the wind will be a bit more blocked by some thicker bushes and some trees. So I think that's why they've got quite a bit of purpose to how they're walking right now. You can see those oxpeckers just flew up. One of the ways that we often find buffalo, we alerted to buffalo when we're on foot, is that the oxpeckers do favor them as one of the species that they feed on. And there's a few that they enjoy feeding on, buffalo being one, rhino another. You also find them quite often on giraffe and kudu. And funny enough, you won't find them on elephants because elephants apparently reject the oxpeckers. So they'll chase them off if they try and sit and feed on them. You can see that one there walking right in front of us. You can see that the hair started to fall off, so it's one of the ways we can age them. It's just a general condition, it's quite aging animals is not an exact science, but those are the sort of things that you look for, is deteriorating condition, just like that. So the older they are, the more hair you expect. You can see that one's quite a lot of hair's fallen off of that one. And also if you look at the condition of the horns aren't smooth, they've got quite a few chips out of them. Also again, one of the ways that we can age them. So that one there is actually a male. And the way I said is that there was a little bit of a protrusion on the belly. Amanda, with regards to being deficient in nutrients, I think it's very similar to what humans will experience. It's just your body telling you that you need some other sort of minerals. So, for instance, if they're deficient in phosphates, they will seem to automatically know. I'm guessing maybe from some sort of fatigue or something, or a craving they might get, just like humans. And then you'll see them starting to feed on things like bones. There's quite a few different animals that actually feed on bones when they are lacking phosphates. Giraffe will do that, impala and nyala. In fact, a huge variety. So I assume it's very similar to what we go through. You can see they're actually starting to slow down a bit more. You might have found that there's a particularly nutritious patch of grass where those ones have slowed down. The rest are carrying on past it. You'll find grass grows quite in interesting ways. You get patches of different species of grass all over the place. There's not just one big open field of the same species of grass. You'll actually have often little patches in between that are a bit more nutritious than others, and I think that's why these ones have slowed down a little bit at this spot. Possibly come past some red grass or buffalo grass, which is our most nutritious species. I think what we're going to do is we're going to carry on looking for those cheetah, and we're going to leave these buffalo to go into the drainage line that they're headed for.
From the buffaloes who are bulk grazers to the wildebeest who are selective feeders. So when they are here, they utilize these long grasses, which are prevalent after the long rains and the short rains. So the wildebeest will eat the high grass to a certain level, and then the medium level will be eaten by the zebras as they're walking across the savannah. So because these herds remain here because of the rain. So it seems like it's a good sign that we have rains that will be pouring on this land as long as these herds are here. Like I promised, I was driving to find a big herd, and we've come across this big herd who look like they are walking to the east. So it seems like in the east there's lots of rain that will be coming later, maybe in the afternoon or maybe tomorrow. See, the cattle are just enjoying following these herds because they get an advantage of the insects that get disturbed by these herds as they are grazing and walking. It's also important to note that when these herds are walking through this terrain, they help disperse the grass seeds. So I'll watch these herds here as they carry on to the east as we take you over to another safari vehicle.
We have found a wops, a spider hunting wops, and what's really nice about this, not for the wops but for us, is that the wops is very cold, and that means that it can't fly off. And it's very, very difficult to get these things on camera because they move around a lot and they're obviously very small. Now, the spider hunting wops, there are lots of different kinds of them, and this particular one, I don't know the species. I don't know any of the species, actually. I can just identify it as a spider hunting wasp of some description. And the most remarkable thing about them, I'll just quickly give you the brief idea of their life cycle, and then I'll tell you what I think is the most remarkable thing about them. But what they do is they'll go and find a spider, or maybe a caterpillar, but I think in this case a spider, and they will sting it and paralyze it, and then carry it back to a burrow that they've created, and she will then lay an egg inside the spider, and the spider is alive, it's just paralyzed. And eventually what happens is the larva of the wasp hatches inside the spider and eats it alive, although it is paralyzed. So it's really an astonishing strategy that they've evolved, and there are lots of different kinds of them, and there are lots of different wasps that do variations on the same theme with caterpillars or various other organisms. Anyway, what I think the most remarkable thing is that they are able to navigate huge distances back to their burrows, and we are pretty convinced that they do this with visual cues, and you can trick them. So if you, for example, put a white card outside the burrow, if you know that there's a burrow and you put a white card outside it, and the wasp flies away, if you then move the white card to somewhere nearby, it'll fly to the white card and not to its burrow. So they've used experiments that these things find their way using visual cues, using landmarks. And when you consider that this thing's brain is probably the size of a microscopic pinhead, it really is remarkable what the DNA is able to code for in such a tiny little creature. And whether it's all stored in the brain or whether it's stored in other parts of the neurology, I'm not sure. Yeah, Megan, this is why being on foot is so important, A, and B, so entertaining. It's because we do see unusual things like this, and we're able to spend a bit more time with them than we would in the vehicle. So, yeah, while, for example, that lion sighting, from a visual point of view, wasn't particularly good on foot, it was very exciting. This is beautiful, and just something that you'd probably drive by without noticing. Beautiful spider hunting wops. We're going to continue as the thunder starts to roll in from the west.
It's amazing to see all these little things on bushwalk. I love it. You see things that you will never be able to catch when you're on drive. So here we've repositioned to a great view. They are so, so well hidden. I don't think I've ever seen lions so well hidden. Long dry grass that's the same color as their fur. I can just hear the thunder all around us. Oh, there's a lightning strike. So far it only seems to be about 6 kilometers away, so we got some time before we've got to think about whether it's safe or not. I can't get a count at all. But I did see some cubs, I saw some lionesses, and an avoca male. I'm so amazed at how Bushwalk found them. But this is the exact kind of thing that you would not be able to find if we didn't have Bushwalk. Even when we have trackers, or if you're tracking, you can go through the block, but they're so right in the middle of it that it really is a talent to be able to find them. Yep, I can feel that storm coming in. The wind's just picked up. Oh, some more lightning. Well, let's sit tight for as long as we can.
Oh, as you folks joined us, the bird decided to fly away. We have looked at the golden-breasted bunting, but it is always such a treat to see the striking... Oh, there we go. Little African red-eyed bulbuls in frame here. They're doing a little sunbathing, it looks like it, warming up. It is still very chilly here in Tswalu, and the wind is still pushing past us. But we have got a spot, and birding is what we're going to be doing now, and then waiting for animals to come in here to the watering hole. So these guys are just sunbathing. They'll be doing a little preening from the night. Nice chilly night. Getting those feathers in a line. Making sure everything is A-okay. Just to the right there again. Just go into the bush there. Up for us a bit. Up. Up more. Keep on going. There we go. Beautiful acacia-pied barbet busy moving around here in the shepherd's tree. We saw this bird a couple of days ago. Further south, just before the rock stars. Giving Glenn a challenge. It's always a challenge to get birds on and for them to stay there. That makes it fun. There we go. Look at that. That red patch just above the beak. Very diagnostic. Those beautiful white speckles on the wings. Is he eating? Looks like he's eating the flowers. Could be going after insects. They would eat insects. Yeah, he's definitely looking intently in and amongst the foliage. Could be eating little spiders. We have a lot of emergence of spiderlings now at the moment. Could be going after little caterpillars. Very nice. Can you go onto the rock there? Oh, no, sorry. Up in the tree there. Sorry, another lovely bird has just come into view. Do you see it on the dead branch here?
No, it's gone.
Oh, okay. So at the watering hole, we just had one sable come. The one sable. Oh, it's lovely when we've got weather like this as a guide. You know, you want to adjust the activity to best suit what is happening. By us changing our tactics from just generally driving to being static, you know, it's always a good chance of seeing something rare or elusive. It's when you sit still that animals tend to move around you a bit more, and you start to understand how much is actually moving around you. Otherwise, with the car, you're just moving around. Oh, lovely. Black and white birds, or the birds with the black and white head, those are Cape sparrows. You can see the white patch creating this beautiful C formation on the side of the bird's head. Cape sparrows, beautiful little birds, and then those yellow ones were the yellow canaries. So, drinking and bathing is the order for this morning. And you can see that distinctive behavior, head down, running the water over the back, and then ruffling the feathers vigorously to move water through the feathers. Oh, look at that. Mouse bird just landed on the left-hand side of the frame. Beautiful. That little white patch at the beak that you would have seen in frame there is very diagnostic as well. That would be a white-backed mouse bird. Lovely to see that. It's pinkish legs. It's like a coffee house right now. Everybody coming down to get their order. Anna-Marie, do we ever see steppe eagles on Tswalu? So I'm sure that, if I can remember correctly, there has been recordings of steppe eagles coming in, but not a common occurrence. It is a little bit far off of our mark from where its normal distribution is. So I will have to look at the species list and check if it has been recorded here. But as birds, you know, as we had the other day, we had that little ring-necked, common ring-necked plover. Ooh, our brain is a bit mushy this morning. So it isn't uncommon for birds just to fly off of course and end up in this area. But I'd have to look for you and I'll let you know ASAP.
We're just sitting here listening to the thunder, watching the lightning and the lions. And we saw this jumping spider who wanted to hang out with us. And I have to show you their cute faces, otherwise I'm just not doing nature justice. Look at that! Look at those eyes! You will now be able to hear the rain. Oh, you're moving very, very slowly now. There's a small flower from one of the bush willows, dried up one it's approaching. I wonder if it thinks that it's food. Not what you expected. No? Neil, you say, here comes the spider hunting wasp. Don't say that too loudly, Neil. Look, it reacted to your comment, Neil. Oh, it's seen another spider. It's seen another spider. Oh no, the other spider's gone over the edge. Somebody's hungry. Guys, we are on the crest here. So we're going to move off the crest and just keep an eye on the storm. It may not be the safest place for us, so let's do that.
Our rain has just started. I think I felt about 4 drops. There's a bit of thunder and some giraffe in the foreground. Some of them were eating knob thorns. You can actually see the raindrops now coming down on the water just in front of the one giraffe as well. So, which is why they probably won't go for a drink. They'll probably just venture off and look for other food. They don't really mind the rain too much. You know, it's not like they can go into a building, have a hot bath, and get out of this. And again, for them, it just means new shoots, new food, and driving around, you can see so many new leaves budding. Actually quite incredible. So all 3 of these are females. They don't look pregnant. They might have given birth already. What we've noticed is a lot of the small giraffe on Ngala now so have tiny bits of umbilical cord attached to their stomachs. And often left in a creche, just with one female looking after them. Like the one giraffe's just staring at the water now. Maybe she does go down for a drink. The other female started eating from a marula tree. Oh, wonderful. Oh, the rain is starting to come down. A little bit more now, quite large drops. We've been hearing thunder for about the last hour. It must be wonderful not having a schedule, you know, nothing to do. All you have to do is walk around, eat, drink when you can, and sleep. And then just do it all again. There's no lunch date or work time or set your alarm for this or that. Just literally do whatever you do. So yeah, I think while they vanish off, we're gonna turn around and actually head back, see if we can find a little bit of shelter somewhere, because this rain is coming down a little bit harder now.
Okay, so now I have confirmation. I took a look at my species list, and there's never been a recording of a steppe eagle here at Tswalu. The distribution isn't terribly far from us. I mean, for a bird to fly that distance is not a difficult task at all. But on the species list, no recording of that beautiful steppe eagle. That would be a lifer for me. It's the first time I'd see the bird and record the bird in my career, and I would have to really understand a lot before I tick it off. Yellow canaries, male on the left, and the beautiful female on the right, holding on tight to that moving branch. Always amazes me the skill and how the body is just able to remain almost motionless. It looks like sometimes the legs are disconnected from the body. So where are buntings, Glenn? We had 2 species of bunting come into the watering hole. Just waiting for their return. Very beautiful species, lark-like bunting. That'll be a new one for us. And then we've seen that golden-breasted bunting a few times. I think everybody's still in bed. Let's just take a look there quickly. Here's this barbet again, Glenn, on the end here. Marion, this one is mainly all rainwater that's been caught, but there is overflow from a borehole pump that does pump into this section. Tswalu's arid environment, 1 or 2 of the watering holes are artificially fed, just so they have water over and through drier and leaner periods. But this one providing a very important source of water for multiple animals, because they need to travel great distance.
So here in the Mara, we are looking at a steppe eagle, but unfortunately the eagle has flown off. It will have been nice to see the steppe eagle because those eagles are super massive. They're also called the booted eagle. Interesting thing about the steppe eagle, they migrate all the way from Russia, Kazakhstan area, and they'll be in East Africa at this time of the year. But as we watch these herds of wildebeest and zebra, we'll try to locate if the bird has settled or perched on another tree. Look at how beautiful this is. Super interesting. We can't really tell if there's animals there unless you go closer. I always ask myself how many times I've passed lions, leopard, or even cheetah just because of these long grasses. So, still in pursuit of the eagle, be nice to see it on a close-up. I'll just move on forward to get closer to the herds and see if I can locate the steppe eagle. As I'm driving through this savannah, let's take you over to another safari vehicle.
Welcome back. Beautiful dove-like species. Oh, it's a laughing dove in the middle of frame. And there's a tiny bird. Oh, so beautiful. Commonly overlooked, even by surveyors.
Our steppe eagle is up in the air. Look at how it's soaring up in the air. Sometimes people might mistake this bird to be a tawny eagle, but you have to be careful when you're looking because they say the yellow line that cuts through the bill extend over their eye, and that is how we sometimes identify this bird. Very, very dark in color, has puffy legs or hairy legs. Sometimes we call it the booted eagle. Very, very interesting. So these birds, they prey on mammals, but sometimes you'll see them just during the rains like this. You see them perched on termite mounds, eating on termites. So it's now locating for prey, searching for prey. Because of farming activities and how this bird preys on their prey, the steppe eagle has gone into a decline. About 50% has gone down. So therefore the species is considered to be an endangered species by the International Union for the Conservation of Nature. Because they range all the way from Russia, this bird is on the flag of the Kazakhstan nation. So they come from all the way from Northern Europe, Kazakhstan, Russia area, fly over to Africa. So the time that this bird is here in East Africa, in Kenya, they'll be seen around fueling. So fueling means when they're eating to gain more energy as they head further south to Angola, and even sometimes you find them in the Kalahari. Very interesting bird. Our herds are still grazing, but they seem like they've already settled. it's warming up, so they're settling for shade, which is typical behavior we witness over animals around here. So I'll still carry on, but I'm still hoping to see the steppe eagle at a very close range as we take you over to another safari vehicle.
Alright, hopefully we are here for a little bit. Glenn has focused on quite a lovely bird. Moving through this little shepherd's tree. This is a red-faced mouse bird. Also looks like it's looking for insects. You can just see from the behavior how it's hopping around. Hence the name mouse bird. If you never knew that it was a bird, you could actually mistake it for that of a mouse. So their mouse-like appearance, that's where they get the common name from, mouse birds. And the beautiful red eye patch. Where is he? Hello? There he is. Makes for a striking appearance. And that's typically how you're going to see a mouse bird early morning, is orientating itself towards the sun. This one's a little bit busy. Obviously doing a bit of feeding right now. So they mainly eat fruit. So farmers really dislike these birds. Mainly fruit eaters, but you would get occurrence of it feeding on leaves, so foliovorous, so eating leaves itself, and as well as insects here and there. Nectar as well, I've read along the lines. But that typical posture there is how you see mouse birds now, is that they orientate their tummies towards the sun. And because they eat partially sometimes here and there foliage and cellulose is a very hard material to break down. And what this animal does is actually house bacteria in the stomach, and early morning the sun warms up the stomach, and that starts kickstarting the bacteria, enabling this bird to break down cellulose. Very hardy material. If you don't have the bacteria, you've got a digestive system that is fairly complex, along with bacteria and high microbe count to break down the material. But a very beautiful bird. One of two species that we have here. It's the red face that we currently have in view, and then we have the white-backed mouse bird. Very nice. Karen, how many masked weaver species are there? So the one species that we
Here in the Mara, we've come across another bird, but this is not a raptor, it's a vulture. So the difference being, this bird always scavenges. We just seen a steppe eagle that was soaring up in the air looking for prey. The same way, these vultures will also be soaring up in the air looking for food. But they never go for live kill. So sometimes these birds can be seen in pair, but they're always solitary on trees, perching up on trees. It's actually one of the biggest vultures that we have around. It's also named the Nubian or the lappet-faced vulture. So we have one race that is actually in East Africa, and we have another subspecies that is found in Northern Africa. Now, when it comes to pecking order, this vulture is the one that will be up on a carcass on the first, because his bill are very strong and thick, enabling them to pierce through the skin of the dead animal. I like watching when vultures are eating, because as soon as the lappet-faced vulture appears, he will definitely mob and harass the other vultures. I like calling it the Dracula vulture because of his movement, how he walks, how they walk up when they are on the ground, approaching a kill and walking past the other vultures. There's also another vulture called the African white-backed vulture, the rupal griffon vulture. And we also have another one that is small called the hooded vulture, which has a slender bill, and that appears to be the last one on a carcass. So after the rains, or maybe in the morning, I didn't get the name quite clearly, but the bacteria that transfer from to the young one is when they, because of how they regurgitate food back to their chicks in the nest. We find some other species, for example, the zebra, the warthogs, when they defecate, the young ones will eat their feces or their dung, and that helps the bacteria in the stomach to get strong and then get adapted to eating. So when these vultures get back to their nest, they regurgitate food for their young ones, and that's how they acquire that bacteria, which helps them digest food. And one other interesting thing, if the vulture is perched there and happen to see a lame or a sickly off animal here, could be a wildebeest, could be a zebra, they will follow slowly, and they are known sometimes to eat up on lame animals, especially when there is a big wound. See them perched on their back and carry on eating. I've once seen a very wounded hippo where these vultures landed on the hippo as he was walking in the land, and they started off with their eyes. Even though they are known not to take on prey, well, they're still alive, but they are known to do that kind of an activity when especially the animals are sickly off and they have open wounds. It's a little bit windy, so at least the heat that is on this animal's back is not as severe as compared to when there's dry wind or no wind at all. Seems like a good morning, so I'll carry on to find more game as I send you over to another safari vehicle.
Okay, fingers crossed nothing happens. I'm putting out the good intentions. It's all that needs to be. What you give out to the universe, you should get back sevenfold. If you believe in that. A few sociable weavers coming down for a drink now. Oh, bird that's just landed there. Can you punch in? Oh, it's just taken off. That little swift or marten-like species that just took off from the frame there, I never saw that. That was a rock marten. Up there it lands again. Go to the left again. Go left, go left. Okay, it's just just below the edge. And then how many weavers have that terminology of mask? It's only two, if I can put my brain to the test. Lesser masked weaver and the southern masked weaver. We have the southern masked weaver here in Tswalu, and the lesser would be all the way on the northeastern part of South Africa. So only two out of the large and diverse weaver family group have that terminology masked in it. And hence the name mask. They've got those beautiful shield or facial masks. You can see how prominent the yellow canary is on Tswalu. Okay, can you just go to the left, Glenn? Oh, he's flown away now. To try and get these little martens, they are continuously on the wing, and they land just for a few minutes to get a quick drink, and they're back in the air. So we're just going to scan this way. If you want to come across here, Glenn, there's another bird busy doing a bit of dust bathing where that yellow canary is. We've got a beautiful little Cape sparrow doing a dust bathing. So what is the difference between the roller and the weaver's nests? So weavers are very skillful making beautiful little woven-like structures hanging from trees, hanging from reeds. But then your rollers, I don't know about the whole family, but a lot of them would nest in tree cavities. These could be natural tree cavities that are occurring, or it could maybe be from the larger species like woodpeckers that can create a nest large enough to support this fairly large bird. So weavers create nests that are woven material on the rock here, Glenn. Beautiful bird. That behavior is super distinctive. Every time it moves, you see it'll flick its wings out 2 or 3 beats. That there, you don't even need to hesitate for 1 second. That behavior is distinctive to that bird. Watch when it moves on the ground. Yep. Thereby. So watch as he moves, folks. You see, as he stands still, he flicks his wings out 2 or 3 times. And this is a familiar chat. So using behavior is also a very important or very useful tool to identify a bird. Like that familiar chat, every time it moves, as soon as it lands, it flicks its wings out 2 or 3 times, 2 or 3 beats. Very distinctive for that species. Kalahari scrub robin. You can see the bobbing of the tail. Very quick, active behavior through the tree. We're going to send you off to another part of the continent and we'll hold out here for you guys.
Welcome back. So last, when we were with you, we were with that herd of buffalo, I think. And we carried on having a look for the cheetah, but so far no luck. But we decided to stop here. We found something quite interesting to show you. And I'm sure most of you who've been on safari have actually seen these little webs. You know, you see them all over the grass, you see them all over the ground. They shine beautifully in the morning when they've got quite a bit of dew on them. And they are the webs of a grass funnel web spider. If you have a look right in the middle, there's quite a lot of web around there, and then there's a small little hole that's right in the middle there. That's where the spider actually sits. And what's quite interesting about these webs is that all this web on the bottom, this web here, that is the sticky side of the web. And what it's done is it's actually built these structures, these long, thin bits of web up at the top. And these actually aren't sticky. If you touch it, it won't stick to the stick here. And what those act is when a fly or some sort of insect flies past, they don't see these long strands of web, and they actually hit them and fall down into the sticky web. And once there's movement there, then the spider rushes out of its little hidey hole right in the middle and then wraps it in some web and feeds on it a bit later. So when you're next on safari and you see all these little webs, in fact there's quite a few. If you pan over there, you can actually see quite a few back behind me, all along the ground here. You'll see them all over these open areas. So those are our grass funnel web spiders. So what we're going to do, I think we are going to carry on looking through these open areas and see if we maybe have any luck with cheetah this morning. He's still been looking very hard. I'm hoping to find that female yesterday. So Heather's asking if the wildlife will be more or less active in the rain, and it's a good question. Now, generally, I have to admit that they are less active. You know, animals are very similar to humans. If it's unpleasant for you to be out in the elements, then the animal's going to be acting the same. So when it's cold and windy and rainy, they often go into areas where it blocks out that weather. So maybe a drainage line, under a bush somewhere, so they can be a lot more difficult to find. That being said, some predators do actually take advantage of the rain or the wet seasons to actually use that to their advantage to hunt. Because when it's rainy and it's windy, the other animals' senses of smell and hearing are compromised. So they might have less chance of actually hearing a predator, and some predators will take advantage of this. So it goes both ways, you know, generally a little less active maybe, but there's also a chance that you could maybe see them hunting, which is quite exciting. If you actually have a look here, you can see beautiful cloud cover right over the whole of Phinda. We've got such a beautiful scene here this morning. We're going to go over those plains that you're looking at and see if we can find that cheetah from yesterday.
I hope they're successful to find a cheetah. Now here in the Mara we come across this eland bull. Look at how big he is. And there's an oxpecker busy cleaning his neck and ear. So eland bulls sometimes will be solitary, but you often at times see them mixing with herd where there's younger bulls, females, and animals from all ages. So this eland here is by himself, but if he comes across a herd of females, he will be walking with them, and sometimes they're the ones that get the mating rights. So the bulls are high ranking, and sometimes when they are within a herd, they are the leaders. They overrule the cows, and when they are in the herds, the younger bulls or subordinates get much fear, and they also need respect to these bulls. They're mainly browsers, but sometimes when the foliage is not around on trees, they will be eating grass. You can see a bunch of females there, 2 resting. Both the sexes have horns, so the bulls and the cows have horns. And when you look at the bulls, when they age, they tend to change color, they tend to be gray in color. They have a patch of hair on their forehead which hides a gland, which call it a glandular gland, that secretes a sweet-smelling gland that they sometimes use when they're marking their territory, when they're rubbing off on the bushes. So he's going back to feeding. These elands can grow to be about a ton, and with that weight, they can at least jump over 6 feet. So interesting. They're normally shy antelopes, but we have a good distance away from this eland. Well, thank you so much for your question. Yes, an eland is an antelope. We have about a group of division of 5 antelopes, but yes, it's a spiral horned antelope. So they're in a group called Trangalaphus, where they have spiral horns. We have antelope that are bovids, which are hollow horns. So yes, this is an antelope. It's actually one of the biggest antelopes in Africa. You can see his massive size. Look at the skin hanging on the neck. It's called a dewlap. And as the bulls age or they grow older, the dewlap gets old and big as well. Sometimes when you're too close to these bulls, you hear a click sound that comes from the tendons between their front legs, called the metacarpals, that they snap shut and click as they're walking. Sometimes the females can be heard clicking, and it's sometimes known that they might be communicating to the younger ones. We don't often see elands here because of how scattered the bushes are, and because of the rains. They end up walking further into the bushes where there's at least fresh foliage. the meat's hard, we have zebras there. At least security is assured. But also elands have very sharp eyes. So we hardly come across eland kills because they're super shy. They'll be in open habitats sometimes, and also where it's a little bit raised, where it's hard for the predators to run and chase them because of how uneven the ground might be. Glenn, thank you for your question. Yes, predators will travel, move along with the herds. So if the migration is carrying on towards the east, you find more predators moving to the east, but then overlapping other predators' territories. And sometimes there might be clashes when these prides meet, but yes, they follow the migration. Seems like a good resting place for this eland, where there's shade, there's a good foliage there, but later on they might go to drink some water. So we'll carry on looking for more game and leave that eland alone. I'm expecting to see more herds and maybe the short grass plains find a cheetah. Let's see if I'll come across the same cheetah that we saw yesterday as we take you over to another safari vehicle.
Well, good luck, Tim. I'm here very close to the river, and I've come close to this big herd of impala. I'd call it a harem of impala, and looks like they're having their morning meeting, and it is being presided by the main male. He's the guy with the big horns, and they all are listening. Yeah, he's the main dominant guy. Remember, impala is very abundant here in the Masai Mara. We see harems of up to 1 to 50, 60 females, usually dominated by a male. It looks like over here, they're just ruminating and enjoying what they had filled their tummies with. These are very beautiful antelope. Lies on a class of its own. Yeah, very good jumper. Can jump up to 36 feet long and about 12 feet high. So it can get away from most predators. Loved and mainly preyed on by leopard. I would say if leopards were to be asked what they like, they would say impala. They feed on them a lot. And here looks like they are at peace. Usually you see them milling around trying to get away from the male and very skittish. But here looks like it's all well. It's quite unusual to find a small harem that is so comfortable and chilled out like this one. So it is such a cool sight. Remember to talk to me, #WildEarth. Questions and comments are really, really welcome. Yeah, for defense mechanism, they still, can run away, but they use their eyes, their ears and noses to smell, hear and see their predators before they get too close. It's a very, very fast antelope, and it can get away. Jambo, Julie, do impalas migrate in the Mara? When we say migrate, we normally mean that they're moving long distances away, and impala don't. They will stick to a small home range, which can be up to around 15 to 20 square kilometers, and they'll stick around that area for the rest of their lives. They don't move further than that, and so they don't migrate. Yes, you can tell those guys with their big ears, they have the ability to also listen and hear anything walking through the long grass, and they can get away from it using their powerful hind legs to accelerate and get out of a bad situation. Yeah, I'm gonna reposition slightly. Somebody wants to pass. And so they can actually get away from most predators. Well, I'm gonna stay here for a little bit longer, and while I do that, let's see what's happening in another live safari vehicle.
So, as we drove through these open areas, we managed to come across a white rhino walking right through one of our dried up watering holes. You know, just coming into our rainy season now, we've noticed that there's a huge amount of watering holes that are really dried up, so we're very much looking forward to some rain. And what's quite interesting about his behavior is that you can see the tail at the end is actually curled up. And this might sound a bit funny, but it could be that he's just a bit constipated, because normally they will raise their tail like that just when they're ready to defecate, or also when they're a bit stressed. But the rest of his behavior, if you're having a look, is quite relaxed, so it doesn't seem to be stressed at all. I think perhaps he's just trying to drop some dung, and it's taking a while to come out. You can see this male here is walking with quite a bit of purpose. His head's down, right close to the ground, and he's smelling. And I think what he's doing is he's on a territorial patrol. So this is one of the prominent paths through his territory that he actually walks all the time. And he's busy just checking for the scent of any other rhino that might have walked through here. You know, possibly another male that could be challenging him for his territory, or hopefully, in his case, a female that's gone into estrus and he'd like to look to mate with her. He's actually coming up to the edge there, and if I remember correctly, I think there's a dung midden that he might be coming up to. Pam, how they stop from being constipated, that's a really good question, and I'm not quite sure with rhino. I know with cats, what they generally do is they actually eat grass. So I'm sure you've seen your domestic cats, you know, trying to feed on some grass, and that's often when they've got little bones or feathers or something that's not passing quite well through their system. So it's a really interesting question, and I wonder if any of the viewers actually know with rhino, because obviously the same method as the cats use, you know, by eating grass, is not going to be very effective for a rhino because their main diet is grass. Well, that's exactly what he makes up of. So I'm not too sure on that, you know. There's not too huge variation in their diet. They feed on grass the whole time and drink water. Perhaps maybe drink a bit more water might loosen things up. I'm just going to drive a bit ahead because I think he has reached that dung midden. And maybe he was actually just waiting to get to the dung midden to drop his dung. Because this is quite an interesting thing to see, if you can actually see a male do his territorial scraping in the dung midden. So let's watch here. There we go. So you can see how he's scraping his feet backwards. Now what he's trying to do is he's trying to get the scent of his... Oh, there we go. Obviously not constipated, just waiting to get to that dung midden. So this is typical behavior of a territorial bull. He'll actually go and find a midden just like this. He'll drop his dung as we saw, and then he scrapes his feet backwards. And what that does is it breaks up the dung, and it gets the scent of his dung on his feet. So now as he continues, poopy time, yes. Great comments, everyone. So as he gets that scent on his feet, he is now going to carry that scent throughout his territory, and all the other males that come into this area are going to know that this is his territory, and so they'll either then show submission by going to the same dung midden and dropping their dung but not scraping it, keeping it in balls, or they might even move out the area if they're too worried about challenging this male for his territory. So it's quite an interesting thing. Those dung middens are huge sections of communication through the rhino. I'm actually going to drive a bit forward, see if we can get another view of him. But they are the main centers of communication that these rhino use, are these dung middens. You know, the females will drop their dung, males will drop their dung. Even black rhino will sometimes use the same dung middens as the white rhino do. There's two little three-banded plovers that have gone into that midden. Probably to pick out some of the remaining bits of grass. He's just walking off that prominent game path there. So Munza, I'm actually going to reverse a little bit and talk a bit about the dung midden. But yes and no, they use both. So there's quite a bit of fluids in the dung itself that has a prominent scent that will also give off the same information as the urine. And they do also do urinate, as I'm sure you've seen. You know, when they lift their tails and they squirt their urine backwards, that's typical of the males, scent marking with their urine. So they do both. And here you can see when they actually do a territorial display with their dung. As you can see quite clearly, these are his scrape marks, where he actually just pushed his feet backwards and got the scent of all this dung on his feet and is now carrying that right through. If we have a look over here, you can see a pile of dung that's not been broken up. So remember when I was talking about the females and the submissive males and how they'll actually leave their dung whole in balls and show that they are not submissive that way. I mean that they are submissive that way. And this is actually being left whole. And if I'm having a look here, what's really interesting is, remember I said that the white rhino and the black rhino will actually share dung middens. And this is very, very old black rhino dung on the outskirts here. And the reason I say that is I can see some twigs that are just broken up into 45-degree angles. You know, so the black rhinos are browsers, and they feed off twigs like this. And you can see there's a prominent 45-degree angle there. And normally you can actually also tell based on the fact that it's a little bit more red in color. Now this is very old, so it started to lose a bit of that reddish hue. But because they feed off twigs that are full of tannins, they then often their dung is a bit more red. Whereas the white rhino, which feeds only on grass, that has this very nice golden brown color that we see around here. Yeah, so that was quite a wonderful display that we got there. It was really exciting to see. And we're going to carry on looking through these open areas since that rhino's now walked off right into the distance where we can't see him anymore.
So on the right-hand side of this rock, oh, it's just flown off. That was our lark-like bunting. a species that doesn't have that striking black and white head. Let's go to that Namakwa dove. Glenn had a beautiful shot of this bird here. At first, one looks at this bird, I don't think this is part of the dove family, but it is a very, very different species looking. It's a very different looking like species. Oh, sure, listen to me. The resemblance doesn't look like a dove. This is a Namakwa dove, and that of a male. See the beautiful dark bib, and as well as the dark frontal part of the bib. Female lacks that black face and black bib. A very beautiful dove species. Let's see if we can get that lark-like bunting back on. Starting to warm up quite nicely at the water's edge. Punching right there, right where you are, to the left. Okay, there should be a lark-like bunting there somewhere. That is at the water's edge. Beautiful bird that you can hear calling is a chestnut vented tit babbler. Back on those rocks there. Yes. Just hold on there, folks. Go in there. There's another lark-like bunting. He's making it very difficult today. There we go. Beautiful. Dawn chorus has to be one of my favorite things in the morning. Just the sheer eruption of multiple bird species busy vocalizing. Sorry we're going backwards and forwards. This birding, you have to just be kind of quick, and Glenn is doing a remarkable job there. That bird that is in flight and has just landed. A little bit to the left, Glenn. There we go, that one right there. There's our lark-like bunting. So in comparison to the other ones that we have seen, the golden-breasted and as well as the cinnamon-breasted, you'll see that the streaked head is not presented on this species. That's almost a continuous pattern through the bunting family is to have that black and white streaky head, whereas in this species, hence the name lark-like bunting, does not. Oh, it's flown away. Okay, let's go to the other side. We've had a lot of sociable weavers come down for a drink. We had some scaly feathered weavers. These beautiful doves busy preening themselves. Oh, I just love these doves. Beautiful soft colors. And what they do now is just warming up in the sun. I'll also be doing a bit of preening. And then you can see the one on the left starting to look for some food, which would predominantly be seeds, grass seeds of various kinds. Really beautiful time so far spent here by the watering hole. Okay, we're just going to go to the right-hand side quickly. Let's see if we can get us this rock martin. Just where you are there. Yep. Slightly to the right, slightly to the right. There we go, on the right. There's our rock martin. Oh, another one's just landed. Beautiful, beautiful bird. And it looks like they're actually collecting nesting material. Rock martin. And martins and swifts and swallows, if you look at this family group, it's all in correlation to their wing structure. Beautiful Cape sparrows. Just love sitting quietly and just watching nature just move around us. We're going to send you off to another safari location, and we'll see you back here shortly.
Well, we have left the area where we are with the impala, and I'm here with a good number of wildebeest. You can see they're all grazing happily. It's a beautiful time of day. It's just warming up, and I'm sure everybody who is here is very happy to have their backs warmer because it was quite chilly earlier on. Remember, these are the white-bearded gunus, and they are migrating. And while migrating, they don't always move in the direction they're supposed to be moving, because right now they're heading in the totally different direction. They're heading towards Kichwa airstrip, which is a long way from where they're supposed to be. Well, you know, they are animals and they can do what they want. There's nothing I can do, but I just have to tell you what they're doing. Youngsters like the one you see here was born earlier this year, and he's doing his first migration. Looks like he's a very happy chap, that one. He's very healthy. Probably, I don't think he lost his mom. He suckled really well, and right now he's independent, feeding on grass. Already at about maybe 6 months, he's fast enough and he knows, you know, how to detect and look for danger. So he's very independent at a very, very early age. All these youngsters were born very early this year. That is a mom of one of the youngsters. You know, they hold their pregnancy for about 6-7 months, and every year a female gives birth to one. They're always, giving birth every year, and so we can never run out of wildebeest unless something really, really bad happens. Here, they're all Marian Jumbo, and thank you for your question. Are we expecting more crossings? Yes. In fact, we are checking the crossings almost every morning and afternoon, and I expect them to start quite soon. If not tomorrow, maybe the next day we'll start having crossings. But who am I to say anything? I can only predict when I see how many are piling up within an area where there's a crossing. I was just looking at one crossing this morning from a distance, and there's quite a good number. So maybe tomorrow, next day, or the next coming week, we'll be having some crossing. So hold on tight there. I will share them with you, but I expect to see some crossings. Remember, these are not the only ones we are looking at. They're everywhere. They're everywhere in the triangle. From southern side, an area we call Kishanga, all the way up, here to the marsh, all the way up to Olololo Gate is just chock-a-block of wildebeest. They're just back to back, as you can see. And here, all their heads are facing towards me, or they're coming towards me, and they're going to go past me and then continue on towards the marsh and then to one of the crossings. So there are very, very many. Even when you look back there on top of the screen, left and top, you see how many are there. Those are hundreds of thousands, and maybe that patch in the middle there's a lion or a leopard, and that's why they're afraid to get to that open patch in between, and so they might have to go around. Sometimes it's how we tell where there's a predator, because when you find a big circle amongst big herd of wildebeest, there is something. But this is such a wonderful scene. I hope you're enjoying this. It's something that only happens in East Africa. I know other places we have different kind of migrating, animals like whales, salmon, deer. We have, sharks, we have all those. We have this special one that happens on land every year from the months of around July, going all the way to end of September. But now it's a little bit prolonged, so we can say this year was exceptional, and I would say it's because of the rains. Luna, how do calves find their mothers? By sound or smell? It's both. It's both. Because when a mother gives birth, there are so many around them, around her and her youngster. And what happens is she tries to keep the youngster very close to her to get an imprint of the smell, so they know each other's smell. At the same time, they call one another. And if there was one of the two that they didn't use, then they'll never actually use it. I mean by, you will hear them calling out here. You will hear a youngster calling. So definitely it expects an answer from the mother. And so both senses are used. Smell and call are used to locate mom or calf. They use both. So this is a migration that happens in those months, and we have a huge number of these guys, about 3 million animals migrating. It's just one-of-a-kind migration. And main reason it happens is that up here, the grass is highly nutritious and, lets the female come into estrus, so they mate while they're here. After utilizing it all, they'll walk all the way down to the plains of the floors of Ngorongoro, where they give birth. It is believed the soils there have got nutrients that are good for lactating females. I'm gonna move on, and while I do that, let's take you to another live, location.
Lovely black-backed jackal coming to the water. And like I said, it looks like he's late for something, but how beautiful is the movement of that animal. So coming to the watering hole looking for any little meal that could have been left behind by a predator, but these animals can also be very specialized hunters on birds, catching birds at watering holes like this. Oh, we're going to get him coming to drink. Yes, please. What a beautiful animal. Being very cautious. Such a cunning animal. Oh, something gave him a fright behind him. Lightning reflexes. It's okay, Eddie, come on. You can see how the wind is more than likely putting this animal on edge. Your hearing is hindered in the situation with wind blowing like this, so being very careful and ensuring that you know if there's any predators laying at the watering hole. You've got to be sure. Okay. Moon dust, do they live in packs? Not packs is in terms of like wild dogs. Wild dogs live in packs. They would be in small family groups, so male and female with their offspring. They do form monogamous pair bonds. So that means that male and female will be together, and jackal, they can be together for their entire life. So a very strong, very secure bond between that of male and female. Oh, Glenn on the birding here. That jackal's just out of frame, so we're going to focus on this beautiful bird. So mainly seen in pairs or in small family groups. And those small family groups would be the offspring which are residing with the parents for a short period or for a period before they go off and find their own partner. So monogamous, but small family groups can be seen from time to time. And they are territorial, so using dung and as well as urine to demarcate areas of occupation. and where that unique scent signature will be possessed by a pair that everybody else knows. Any intruder comes in, they can smell that a pair is occupying a given area. It's okay, buddy, come on. They've got very sharp noses. They can smell a carcass of up to 1 kilometer away. Oh, what enemies would a jackal have? So, lions, definitely a big enemy, especially because they've got to brave it out, getting up to a carcass where lions could potentially be laying. So it's not uncommon for jackal to get taken out by larger carnivores, because they need to be really brave to get in close enough to steal pieces of a carcass. So lions are big enemies and threats of jackal. You would have leopards killing jackal, cheetah, but jackal are very quick. Their agility and as well as their responsiveness is lightning fast. So he would use his agility to outwit a predator. We saw cheetah trying to catch jackal a couple of weeks ago on a springbok carcass. So they can be fairly brave coming into a carcass, seeing where scraps are, and then cheetah, leopard, and as well as lion chasing them off. And it's not uncommon for them to be caught like that, or just unexpectedly a lion laying down and it walks around the wrong bush and suddenly, unfortunately, lights out. So what was he doing there, Glenn? Came and sniffed the water's edge and then moved off. Oh, that was lovely. So hopefully we have a few more mammals coming into the waterhole. But we'll take a look.
As they're watching over at the waterhole, we have come across a colony of cattle egrets just next to a tributary of the Mara, and also a spawing plover that is close to them. See, this time they're actually warming up. They're warming their feathers. They're preening. See some of them cleaning their feathers, stretching. So when they're in that colony, it's also for security purposes, because they can watch over predators. And sometimes on the banks, we have some flies that like laying their eggs and nesting on the banks, called the hippo flies, who tend to be very, very disturbing to the hippos. So these birds also get that advantage of eating those flies. We see a close association of these birds with big herds. We have herds that were just drinking here and then left. You can see some have a little bit of brown behind their necks. That could be the breeding males or the breeding plumage. It's so interesting to see these birds around here. And after they've taken a rest, some of them are drinking water. They will head off, find a big herd, maybe elephants, buffalo, or wildebeest, and then carry along eating. I like the way the wind is blowing off their feathers. Sometimes when along these rivers, you see them riding or enjoying their rides on the backs of hippos, especially in the swamps, and the insects that are disturbed as the hippos are walking through the swamp, they get an advantage. You can see sometimes riding on the backs of elephants, buffaloes. So these birds have a specialized, adopted way of finding food. Julia, thank you. I can't agree more. These are beautiful egrets. It's always nice when you come across birds. You get to see a different kind of behavior from observing mammals and other creatures. Birds always excite me. seems like they're having a meeting. Who knows what's going on? Who's the leader? I think the ones that are on the edge of the river are the ones that are leading or chairing the meeting. So I'll leave these birds to enjoy their meeting while I carry on to find more. Because it's warming up, most of the cats are sleeping off. So I'll be looking more for about cheetah and the plains game as we move over to another safari vehicle.
Jumbo, once again, welcome to this area where I am in, and I found a bird of prey that I haven't seen for a very long time. This is the auga buzzard, and he is down here because definitely there is something that he saw. And are you gonna take off the ticket? Definitely he's looking for a tree to patch on. All the little shrubs here are too small for him, but definitely either he saw a mouse or a snake, and that's why he's on the ground. Yeah, remember, these birds have got amazing eyesight, and from a distance they can spot, you know, something quite easily with their binocular eyesight, and then with pinpoint accuracy they'll fly down, come and get it. I don't know what actually it's here for, but this bird comes in different morphs. Sometimes a very dark one, we got to call it the melanistic, but this one is just the common color that we get, which is a very white chest, but the tail is a russet color. I hope you know he flies, so you can see, and the outer feathers, flight feathers, are actually very barred. That is one way of identifying him. And this one, I would say it's a sub-adult, not fully grown. So, because it's got freckles on the wings. Yeah, it's still looking, and it's not leaving. So definitely there was something. They have the ability to hunt even some small poisonous snakes, like little pufferdas, and even mambas. Yeah, Kim, thank you for your comment. Beautiful birds. Yes, they're actually very beautiful. And I wish it would fly so you could see. But they have the ability to kill poisonous snakes because their legs are equipped with very, very, long talons for holding on to that kill and actually giving it a very deadly grip, piercing it with his talons, usually killing it. And if the snake tries to bite, they have very thick scales on their legs and very little or few veins, so such that if the bite penetrates through the scales, the poison might not actually affect them, but they are masters in holding them properly so that they don't get bitten. From where he is, I can tell he is trying to find whatever he saw that made him come down here. We have, striped grass rats over here, mice, we have snakes, we have grasshoppers, but definitely he didn't come for a grasshopper. He came for a striped field mouse or something like that. I think that's what he came down for. They have a wingspan of almost, 5.5, 6 feet. So they're huge. They're quite big and can weigh up to around 3.5 kilos. So it is a very, very big bird. And to see it this close to the ground, it's really, really a bonus. He is still pinpointing, trying to find it. You can tell that the beak is very much of an eagle-like, meant to tear and and cut, something into pieces. Yeah, auga buzzard it is, and looks like it's time, it's moving to the next location and perch a little bit, see if it can see it properly. Yeah, that's a beautiful scene that we have there. On the background over there is what we call Aitong Hills. Well, it's been a fantastic morning, having you, as our audience, and all the sightings that we've had, they've been really, really cool. And so on behalf of all my colleagues in Southern Africa, here in the Mara, I myself, and all the crew in our offices, I would say bye-bye and see you this afternoon.
This is unbelievable stuff.
Live.
The world's most famous live adventure can be found right here on Wild Earth.
Look at this, isn't this absolutely amazing?
Climb aboard and catch up with our royal leopard family from the Greater Kruger, the majestic lions of KwaZulu-Natal, and even a new family of meerkats in the Kalahari. Tune in live every single day